there I am. There's that ugly mug. Whoops. And I'm always having trouble with the share button. There we go. Wait for everyone to tune in. Hello, hello. All right, we're going to share on Facebook, which always loves to give me trouble. Hello. Welcome, Sasha. Glad to see you here. We're going to get the last thing shared on Tumblr while everyone shows up. William Hunter, howdy, welcome. Whoops, and I forgot to plug in. And this drains the battery fast. There we go. Okay. And last thing. Love, we're live. There we go. Good, good, good. Hey, and everyone's showing up. Yo, yo, yo. Greetings and hi from the Netherlands. Cinnamon San. Wow, cool. Well, welcome from the Netherlands. Jack Chakudi? I remembered that correctly, right? Chakudi? Hello, welcome. And I think we got it all shared. So let's get into the show. Did anyone... Chaz's Dungeon? Wow, this feels like a library. Yeah, I got the new setup moved out of the old place. So yeah, I'm kind of temporarily living with my parents again right now while I'm getting ready to move up to Portland. So yeah, I got everything moved in here. It's pretty nice. It's just kind of a room for movies and whatever. All my stuff that I got. It's pretty cool. I like the way that looks in the background. It's pretty nice, right? Yeah, I'm probably going to be here a couple of weeks while I get ready to make the major move across the state. I guess it's not that far. Whoops. Yeah, let's keep that. All right. William Hunter, say, have you seen It Follows? Just watched it on Netflix recently. Great movie. I have seen It Follows. That's a great one. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I liked how it was a throwback to kind of like John Carpenter sort of movies, like late 70s, like early 80s kind of horror movies. Yeah, how it kind of went for more of a classical kind of presentation. It was good. It was really well done. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was just nice, simple, straightforward, and very, very effective. What was the name of that director? I think his name was David Robert Mitchell. He really, really knew how to put that thing together. There was some great set pieces in that one. It Follows, yeah, was definitely a very good recent horror movie. Sasha, how long do you intend to stream for? Well, I was originally going to do an interview. I'd set up an interview with filmmaker who sent me some of his work, Case Asparos. And I was messaging him on Twitter. I never heard back from him. So I don't know what's going on, if he got kind of focused on other stuff, if he's busy with other things, you know, everyone has their lives. I'm not blaming him. I'm not mad at him or anything. But I was going to do my first interview today for about an hour and then do the usual show after that. But yeah, I haven't heard from him. Don't know where he is. So looks like we're gonna do that next week, hopefully, unless I get my second guest canceling on me. But that's okay. You know, these things happen. You know, hiccups are to be expected. That's all right. Not gonna let it bother me. I've still got movies to talk about. Everyone's here. We're all going to have a good time. This is Video Drone, by the way, with me, Disregarding Henry. This is just a show where we hang out and we talk movies. So welcome, one and all. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Because today, yeah, I've got two very good ones that I want to talk about that I watched this week. I was very, very impressed by both of them. A horror movie, It Comes at Night, which I've heard kind of mixed things about. I like this one quite a bit. And Colossal, which is sort of a tremendously unconventional take on the kaiju movie. Again, another one I've heard kind of mixed things about, but also I loved and wanted to talk about, feature on the show. But let's see what we got going on in the chat first. Like catching up with everybody, seeing what everyone else is up to. Chaz's Dungeon. I may not be the same person next week as I'm going to watch Inland Empire. Finally! It seems like you've been talking about that one for weeks. I've been waiting for you to finally watch it. I'll either be in a different dimension or I'll be bored out of my skull. You know, you might be a little bit of both with Inland Empire. It's an interesting one. Yeah, it's challenging. It's got moments of brilliance. And yeah, it's one that certainly every time I've watched it, I kind of go in and out. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know how you're planning on watching it, but if you have the DVD, I also highly recommend watching David Lynch's video, the little special feature he put on the DVD showing you how to make quinoa. I'd never heard of quinoa. I watched that little feature on the Inland Empire DVD. Now I'm a big fan. I love quinoa. And he's got a pretty good recipe that he shares. So make sure you check that out too. Let's see. Oh, Jack, I am getting your name right. Good. Let's see. Oh, and Chaz's Dungeon. Can't wait to hear you discuss It Comes at Night. Yeah, this was one you suggested to me, isn't it? You were saying how much you really liked it. And yeah, I was really surprised because I was looking at other stuff. You know, like, God, what was I looking at? I think I was reading the Wikipedia page for It Comes at Night, and I was just seeing other stuff, you know, like on Amazon, where the movie is available to rent or purchase through VOD. I was seeing it has like a 2.5-star average. I was seeing like user reviews saying like, oh, this is boring, this is nothing new. And that service or website, I'm not sure what it is. I never even knew about it until fairly recently. CinemaScore, I believe it's called. I just recently found out about that when I did the show on Mother, the Darren Aronofsky movie. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of it, because Mother was apparently, I guess CinemaScore is some kind of site or system where they poll audience members after they come out of the theater, and they ask to rate the movie they've just seen on a scale from like A to F. And apparently Mother is one of the very few films in the history of this service to get an F rating from audiences, which I guess for a movie like that, which is very confrontational and polarizing, it's not that surprising. But It Comes at Night, which I thought was so good, I was shocked to see that on CinemaScore, this has an average rating of a D. A D. That's incredibly low for a movie this damn good. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I can't believe this movie isn't getting more of a response from people, because it's so good. It's such a terrific horror movie. It's really, I think, one I would compare with some of the best horror films I've ever seen, like Night of the Living Dead and The Shining. It's that tense and atmospheric, and it's also powerfully affecting emotionally. Like, I was very moved by it in a way I was not expecting to be, that you typically aren't moved by horror films, but it really is an incredibly devastating and moving emotional experience, on top of just being a terrific suspense film and horror film. I'll talk more about that in a second, but I want to see what else we got in the chat here. But yeah, after watching it and seeing how good it was, I was really just taken aback at how negative the audience reception to it seems to have been. It's got a really high rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so the critics seem to be liking it. And I guess maybe this is just one that needs a little bit of time to find its audience, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine why so many people didn't really care for this movie. Sasha finally received Baby Driver on Blu-ray this morning. Can't wait to watch. Yeah, that's a fun one. I remember you mentioning that last week. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I think you probably will. It's a very fun, very witty, very well-made movie. Edgar Wright, yeah, he always makes the most tremendously entertaining films. Baby Driver, of course, being no exception. Let's see, Chaz's Dungeon. Judging from your letterbox, you really liked the film. Yeah, I did. As I just mentioned, yeah, I did really like it. Let's see. Jack, are you aware that your Unmade Masterpieces video on Interstellar is blocked in my country, Australia? I think I am aware of that, yeah. Gosh, who was it? I can't. It's weird because two different companies own the rights to Interstellar, depending on the territories. I think it's Universal or maybe it's Warner Brothers. I can't remember which, but one studio owns the distribution rights for Interstellar in the United States, and they have allowed the movie. They are allowing the video to be shown in the United States, but outside of the United States, it's another studio that owns it, and they aren't okay, yeah, with the Unmade Masterpieces video being shown in other countries. So I forget which of the studios it is, but one of them, yeah, was okay with it. The other was not. So outside of the United States, yeah, I think the Unmade Masterpieces video on Interstellar is blocked, unfortunately. And as far as I'm aware, there's not really anything I can do about that. So I apologize. I apologize to any viewers in Australia or elsewhere who can't watch those videos. It's disappointing, but you know, just one guy, you know, making dumb videos in his room. There's not a lot I can do about that, unfortunately. Let's see. Gosh, I'm already falling way behind. Let's see if I can keep up, do a better job of keeping up. Cinnamon Sand, I've seen Blade Runner yesterday in 2D Atmos. Wow, want to see it again in 3D. Oh, hell yeah, man. I want to see Blade Runner again as well. Yeah. I'm still thinking about that movie, still thinking about it. It was really an incredible film. Yeah, 2D, 3D, I'd love to see it in IMAX, really get immersed in it. It's an incredible movie, and I think I've heard, I haven't really kept up with it, but I think I heard it's still doing kind of not so well at the box office, which is really disappointing. But hopefully, you know, it proves to have some legs at the box office, like more and more people start coming to it. I think it definitely has the potential, yeah, to have a lot of staying power with people just through word of mouth, you know, because I've been talking to people at work about it, just other people here and there. Everyone seems to love it and is telling everyone else to see it. So hopefully they do. I really hope that movie starts to do better, because I think it is just such an incredible film. Anyone who hasn't seen it yet, who happens to be watching this, highly, highly recommend you go see Blade Runner 2049. It's amazing. Really needs to be experienced on the cinema screen. Let's see, Chaz's Dungeon. I watched Stalker for the first time. Yeah, I've never seen that one from start to finish. I've tried watching it once on YouTube, which is not the best way to do it. I've got the Criterion Blu-ray back there. I need to sit down and try and give that one a watch. So yeah, not much I can say about Stalker, unfortunately. Tarkovsky, he's not an easy one to get into. Once you get there, he's really amazing, but he's definitely a challenge. You definitely Yeah, it takes being in a certain kind of state of mind. Yeah, having a lot of patience. It's not easy, but yeah, his movies are pretty incredible atmospheric pieces once you do find an entry point into them. Let's see. Jack. Oh, you're probably asking Chaz's Dungeon what he thought about Stalker. All right, I'll skip that one. Let's see. Oh, okay. Chaz's Dungeon. You liked the film Stalker, although I didn't believe that I was in the right mood for it. Yeah. Film surprisingly had more dialogue than expected. I thought it was only going to have 10 lines. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember Solaris now. I'm pretty sure that had a fair amount of dialogue in it. Tarkovsky's movies, I get the impression that they are pretty talky because they're very intellectual. So there's kind of a lot of exploration of different themes and ideas, especially in interactions between the characters and dialogue exchanges. So I mean, I don't think that's very unusual for Tarkovsky, but I think with Tarkovsky, what we tend to remember from his films is not so much the dialogue, but more the visuals, more kind of just like visual moments or atmospheric impressions. Yeah, like thinking back on Solaris, I don't really remember a lot of dialogue or specific lines or things like that. I remember images, I remember those moments at the beginning of Chris like walking around, the estate that he lives on, the house. I remember all those scenes of him walking through the corridors in the space station. I remember the dream sequences. I remember the ending. I remember vividly certain images. I don't really recall a lot of dialogue. And there is, when you watch the movie, a lot of dialogue in it. It's a nearly 3-hour movie. A lot of that is dialogue, but the images are so powerful that they are really what stick with you, in my experience, with Tarkovsky, or at least with Solaris in particular. I've said before, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Tarkovsky, or I've attempted to watch certain other films of his, and yeah, it's kind of the same experience I had with Solaris. I kind of had to watch it about 5 or 6 times before I was able to stay awake through the whole thing and really get into it. And since then, it's become one of my favorite movies. So I'm expecting to have the same kind of challenge with movies like Stalker, Sacrifice, The Mirror, Nostalgia, other works of his that I'm not as familiar with. Let's see. LJ, welcome. Glad you could join us. JF, hello. Let's see. Oh, Jack, the first time you saw Stalker, I was also surprised by the amount of dialogue. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny that nobody remembers. Yeah, that Tarkovsky movies, yeah, tend to have a lot of dialogue. It's I didn't even really think about it until it was brought up just now. That is funny. Let's see. What are we talking about? Not sure. Oh, we're talking about Lynch, Twin Peaks. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Oh, yeah, I'm simply baffled by the response to It Comes at Night. I'm a little baffled, too. I'm right there with you. I cannot believe, that that the specifically the audience reaction has been so negative, that the movie seems to have been greeted with so much indifference. It astounds me. Absolutely astounds me. What else we got? Oh, Sasha, Twin Peaks season 3 is on Blu-ray December 5th. Yeah, my brother is definitely making sure I know about that. Yeah, he's definitely going to buy that Blu-ray once it comes out. Start digging into that stuff. Sasha, oh, you also have the Inland Empire US DVD. Yeah, that's the one I own with the quinoa video. That's a good one. But you just picked up the Blu-ray too. Love Lynch, both the man and his work. I didn't know that one was on Blu-ray. It must not be a US release, because I don't think in the US we have that on Blu-ray. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon, yeah, It Comes at Night is easily the most shockingly underrated film of the year. I'm probably right there with you. I haven't seen a lot of films this year, But yeah, definitely, I'm really surprised that It Comes at Night didn't make more of an impression on people, because it's right up there like with the other recent horror films that really kind of stuck with people and started through word of mouth, just like became these movies that like you had to seek out, you had to see, like The Witch, It Follows, which came up earlier. What was the other one? The Babadook, movies like that. It Comes at Night, I mean, it's right up there. It's one of the best recent horror films, and I think one of the best I've ever seen. I was so thoroughly impressed by it. Oh, William Hunter, I guess I'll have to put It Comes at Night on my Halloween season horror movie list. Absolutely. It's a perfect one for the Halloween season. It's so creepy and so evocative and so well put together. What else we got here? What else we got? Oh gosh, how am I already this far behind? Try and get through this quickly. Whoops, and I lost my place. Let's see. Sasha, how do you rate Jeff Nichols' film Mud? That was a very good one. I saw that one in theaters, actually. Jeff Nichols is a very good writer-director. He's definitely an exceptional talent. I think all of his movies have been pretty damn good so far. Midnight Special I saw fairly recently. That was a very good Spielbergian sort of sci-fi adventure movie, really grounded in realistic, believable characters, themes of family, you know, parents and children. It was very good, very well done. Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen Shotgun Stories. I don't really remember that one so well. That was his first one. Take Shelter, though, is excellent. An excellent movie. Great Michael Shannon performance. And Mud is very, very good, too. Yeah, I remember the performances were fantastic. The direction, the cinematography, the whole way Nichols is able to capture setting is very impressive. You know, you really get a sense of where these films take place, you know, what they look like, what they feel like, what the community is like, what the people are like. They really capture characters and settings so well, and they have great stories too. He really is a terrific filmmaker. I haven't seen his latest one, Loving, with Joel Edgerton, but I've heard that one's very good too. I need to check that one out. Volstix, welcome. Hiya. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I watched Macon Blair's debut on Netflix. Really liked the film. There were some conveniences that hurt the film, in my opinion, although it was really well made. Yeah, talking about, oh wow, in Chaz's Dungeon, you've also seen Blade Runner 2049 3 times now. I'm very jealous of that. I need to go see it a second time. People are also telling me to go see It, though. So I'm debating whether or not I should go see It, maybe talk about it on the show. I've heard kind of differing opinions on that one. It looks interesting. I mean, I have heard good things, so I'm kind of interested. I think the director is very good. I saw his first movie, Mama, which was produced by Guillermo del Toro. I thought that was a pretty good one, pretty creepy, pretty well made. Not great, but good. A pretty solid suspense kind of ghost story horror movie. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing it, certainly, but I really want to see Blade Runner again. Try to bolster the box office a little bit, and also just to experience that amazing piece of cinematic art again. I really did love it. Need to see if I can drag anyone else to go see it with me. Yeah, I just really want people to go see that movie. I really want it to be doing better than it's currently doing. But yeah, the Macon Blair film you mentioned, it's got some long convoluted title, which I think is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. Yeah, and it stars Elijah Wood, and what is the name of that actress? She was in Heavenly Creatures. I know her name. Melanie Linsky, that's her name. Thank God I remembered it. But yeah, she was good. Elijah Wood was surprisingly good. I really liked that movie. It's it feels very close to like the works of Jeremy Saulnier. You know, like movies like Blue Ruin and Green Room, and that it's kind of this really violent and intense meditation, you know, on the repercussions of violence and kind of the situations that lead people to violence. But also, I thought the way Macon Blair approached it was based much more kind of like in humor and observation and character. I thought I don't feel at home in this world anymore. I thought it was a lot funnier than Saulnier's work, which is not a criticism on Saulnier. Blue Ruin and Green Room are two excellent movies. But I thought Macon Blair, even though he clearly took a lot of influence from Saulnier, and he's had starring roles in both of Saulnier's movies, even though he clearly took a lot of influence, I really felt he brought a lot of himself to it as well. Clearly a sense of humor that he really tried to emphasize. And I really like the way the movie kind of starts out in a tone that is very deadpan and comedic, and slowly kind of becomes more and more horrifying as it goes along, as the situations start to escalate, as the stakes become steadily higher, and slowly by the end it's really not funny anymore. It's horrific, and you really just want all the bad things to stop. But by that point, it's out of control. So I thought, yeah, it was very well written. I believe Macon Blair wrote the script himself. He wrote it and directed it. He did a great job. I thought it was very, very good. Very suspenseful, very funny, great performances, great characters. It's streaming on Netflix. I believe it's I don't think Netflix produced it. I think they're just distributing it through their streaming platform. But it's definitely worth a look. If you have Netflix, definitely check that one out. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Really good, really intense. If you like stuff like Blue Ruin or Green Room, you'll probably definitely like that one. It was shot in Oregon too, which is where I am, so that's cool. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm probably even further behind now. Let's see. Oh, LJ, I'm actually going to buy Blade Runner 2049 on 3D and 4K when it gets released, because I have been told it will look stunning on a 4K TV. I'm sure that is the absolute truth there. Let's see. Pineapple Squid, blocking or interstellar review is sadly possible and unnecessary. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a way I could fight back against that, but I don't know. You know, it could easily, if some company wanted to just hit my channel with some copyright strikes and get me shut down, they could probably easily do that, and I'm definitely not big enough to really fight back against that. So I'm kind of just, you know, when I get hit with what is it, content IDs, which is not a copyright strike, it doesn't affect my channel, but yeah, when I get hit with content ID and stuff like that, and I'm just kind of like, I just want to roll over and take it. You know, I don't want to give anyone a reason, to try and do anything more severe than that. But, you know, I've got other videos. I'm trying to work on other stuff, you know. And I'm hoping to start doing a new show, too. I want to, because all my videos are so damn long. I'm kind of wanting to start posting like a shorter video reviews, you know. I want to call it Henry Recommends, where it's just like 5 minutes, and I just kind of talk briefly about a movie, tell people to go watch it, just get some more content out there. Stuff I could knock off, you know, like in a couple hours. That won't take that much time, just so I can get, you know, more stuff out on the channel while I'm trying to finish the next unmade masterpieces. So hopefully I start doing that soon. Let's see. Oh, wow, Jack. I have changed my mind on 2049. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Now I have seen it 3 times. It is now my favorite film of the year. And I kind of think it's the best thing ever. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I've been talking to other people. I haven't talked to anyone who hasn't liked it so far. And I'm sure there are people out there that didn't like it, which is fine. But yeah, most everyone I've been talking to has really liked it. But there was one guy at work um, where I was absolutely enthusiastic about it and saying like it's just as good as the original. Like it's its own movie, but like it's just as good as the original Blade Runner. And he refused to accept that. He was like, no way, no way, it's not as good as the original. It's like it is, man. Watch it again. It is. It's as good as the original. He refused to believe it though. I'm convinced though it's a great film, a great film. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. Solaris is the film I have the most interest in watching from Tarkovsky. That's my favorite. It's the one I've seen the most, so I'm a little biased there. But so far, it's been the one that I've connected to most strongly. But again, like I said, I think I still need to go back and try and really find a way into movies like The Sacrifice, which I've tried to watch and haven't finished. Stalker, same thing. Ivan's Childhood, I've watched a couple times. It's got gorgeous cinematography, some amazing shots and moments in it, but it's never really worked as a whole film to me. You know, it feels like a debut, more of a movie that reveals what incredible potential Tarkovsky had as a filmmaker. So it's got moments that really shine, but it doesn't really feel like a movie that, you know, just all flows together in a solid way. It's more like he wanted to try certain things, experiment with certain ideas, and the film itself, you know, just kind of like feels like this fractured collection of those ideas. So it's not my favorite of his, but it is certainly a movie I think worth watching for those extraordinary moments. It's on a Criterion Blu-ray, and it's one worth buying just to see some of the images on it. It looks so gorgeous on Blu-ray. The black and white cinematography is so amazing, so atmospheric. Do you hear that cat out there? Just found his way inside. I'm gonna open the door for him so he can find his way in. Hello. Yeah. Come on. No? Okay. Guess he doesn't want in. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Despite being grimy, there is a strange beauty in the imagery of Stalker. I want to watch it again because, like I said, the one time I tried to watch it, it was on YouTube. Not the best way to watch a movie, especially a Tarkovsky movie. So I need to watch the Criterion Blu-ray. Try and get into some of that stuff. Let's see. Oh my God, LJ. Also, the Blade Runner 2049 4K comes with whiskey glasses. That's interesting. Oh, hello. You did come in. Hello. A cat's decided to join us. Odious is his name. Yeah, that's that's certainly an interesting feature. Whiskey glasses. It's like there's a Blu-ray edition of what is it, Scarface, that costs like there's an edition of Scarface on Blu-ray that comes with a cigar humidifier of all things, and I think it costs like $1,000. I don't know who would want that, but God bless you if you're willing to drop $1,000 on a Scarface Blu-ray and a cigar humidifier. It's interesting, some of the stuff that's out there. Hello. What else we got? Let's see. Oh, Sasha, you're a big fan of Tarkovsky's Mirror. I don't think I've ever seen that one. I might have tried. I can't remember. There was one that was streaming on Netflix for a little while that I tried to watch. I can't remember if it was The Mirror. It might have been Nostalgia. I can't remember now. Oh, Jack, I find the tone and atmosphere of Stalker absurdly beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and watch the Criterion Blu-ray, like I said. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon kept fidgeting while watching Stalker, although the film made other films I saw much shorter due to its runtime. Yeah, Tarkovsky, he likes the longer runtimes, but like I said, you really do have to be in the right headspace to just sort of let the movie hypnotize you, because yeah, you got to be in it for the long run. You've got to be committed. He can be a challenging one, I'll admit. Let's see. What else we got? Whoops, lost my place again. It keeps jumping ahead. So I think I'm probably missing some of these. What else we got? I'll just try and find where I was. Gosh, how am I this far behind? I get to talking and I lose track of how much stuff is being posted in the chat. So I'm probably skipping over a lot of stuff, so I apologize. But let's see what we got here. Wow, 10 minutes behind already. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon also watched Dawn of the Dead for the first time. I personally prefer Night of the Living Dead due to my taste in films, although I can understand why people love Dawn. Yeah, Dawn is my favorite. I love all three of those. I guess there are more. I always forget that Romero did more, which I don't think any of them are bad. I think they're all worth watching. They're all entertaining in different ways. But I think the original three are definitely the strongest. I do think Land of the Dead is pretty good. Very pulpy, comic booky, very fun. But definitely the strongest ones are Night, Dawn, and Day. Those are all three great movies. I think my favorite is Dawn. That is just I think it's one of those perfect low budget horror films that I think it's about as good as you could possibly make a zombie movie. But Day is also really great. I love the claustrophobic setting of putting it all underground, and I love the tension and paranoia that builds. It's actually I think It Comes at Night has a lot of similarities to that one in that way, and that it's so contained, and it's about human interactions, and it's about mistrust, and it's about suspicion, and it's about conflict. So I think Day, definitely has a lot of strengths. But Night of the Living Dead also does that extremely well as well, and is even more kind of stripped down and minimal, and is really, just about is really just kind of about human conflict more than anything. That was always the great thing about the Romero zombie films, is they were always about so much more than just zombies. He was really using them as a way of just examining human nature. He was so great at what he did. The fact that they are zombie movies really kind of what's the word? You don't expect those movies to be as smart as they are, because there are so many crappy zombie movies out there that I'm sure most people are probably familiar with those movies now, younger people, that when you go back to the Romero ones, even though they're not as slick, even though, they're not as polished as certain other zombie movies out there, they're so smart and they're so well written, and they have so many great moments and interesting stories in them that it's always a surprise that they are as intelligent as they are, and that they try to tackle so many interesting themes. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. Night of the Living Dead is the gloomy horror, and Dawn of the Dead is the action comedy. There definitely is a lot of comedy. There's not a lot of comedy in Night, but Dawn is, you're right, a very funny movie and much more action-driven. But I think there's also a lot of melancholy in there as well. A lot of contemplation. Dawn has always been my favorite. I've always found it to be the most entertaining of the original trilogy. Let's see. Roy O'Connor, welcome. Have you seen Wind River? It was surprisingly great. Yeah, that's the one with Jeremy Renner, if I'm not mistaken. I think, that was the directorial debut of, what's that guy's name? I'm so bad with names, it's embarrassing. Taylor Sheridan? Is that right? It's the guy that wrote Sicario and Hell or High Water. Great screenwriter. Those are both terrific movies. And I've heard very good things about Wind River, but I have not seen it yet, so I can't comment on it. Let's see. Oh gosh, I am far behind. Chaz's Dungeon. I personally believe that I don't feel at home in this world anymore. That's even abbreviated. That's still a long title. Executed the realistic logic better than Blue Ruin and Green Room, although the film kind of breaks itself near the end to ensure the best ending. I didn't agree with that. I was pretty satisfied with the ending. And I was so invested in the characters during that last big set piece that it really did. It had me gripping the edge of my seat. I found it tremendously suspenseful. And the way the action and the violence and the staging, the way it was all executed with such clarity and precision. I feel like too many action scenes nowadays, they're quick cut. There's a lot of handheld cameras, a lot of close-ups. I really like the way Macon Blair just kind of, like in the films of Saulnier, he just played it very cool, just kind of set the camera, had a very careful cutting pace, made sure you could see clearly everything that was happening, and just yeah, let the violence play out in a very clear, precise way. Those to me, when you're doing an action sequence or a violent sequence like that, that's the best way to do it. I think that's the most effective way of doing it. And then yeah, I guess like the final moment there, maybe, yeah, I don't know, maybe is a surprise, trying to give it kind of more of a happier ending, more of an uplifting ending. But I cared about the characters, so I was okay with it. You know, personally, I found it satisfying. Let's see. Oh, Jane Levy, Ball Sticks. Blue Ruin is on Film 4 tonight. Cool. Yeah, so I'm guessing that's a British channel, or do we get that in America? I don't have cable, so I don't know which channels are out there. But yeah, Blue Ruin is definitely worth a look. If you don't have Netflix, if you can't watch it that way, then yeah, maybe give it a look on Film 4 whenever that comes on. But yeah, Jane Levy was really good, and I don't feel at home. Even though she doesn't have many lines, she is just this spooky presence. Yeah, she's the girl. Yeah, that goes a little bonkers at the end. Yeah, you're right. She definitely does have a really spooky presence. That was a really good character. Um, I didn't know that was her name, Jane Levy. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right character. But yeah, she was very good. Let's see. Awkwardly Funny. Have you seen A Ghost Story? I have not seen it yet. Want to? It's on my list. It's been recommended to me numerous times, so I definitely am going to watch it. I just have not yet gotten the opportunity. Might have to go through Redbox or something. I think that should be available now or soon on Redbox. Let's see. Jazz's Dungeon recently rewatched A Ghost Story. Oh, yesterday rewatched A Ghost Story. Film was shockingly shorter than my first watch. You mean like it felt shorter? Yeah, definitely. When you really love a film, it can really feel that way. Let's see what else we got. Also, Volsticks, also Film 4 showed Vivre sa vie on Wednesday night. Pretty grateful I live in a country that shows Godard films during the weekday. Yeah, I haven't seen Vivre sa vie in a long time. That's a really good one. I need to give that one another watch. I don't always really get into Godard films, but Vivre sa vie I thought was a very good one. One of his best, I've always thought. What else we got here? Oh, really? Sasha, Ivan's Childhood was the first Tarkovsky film I saw, and it blew me away when I watched the Criterion. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some fans of it out there. I wasn't too keen on it. There was stuff I liked, but yeah, just overall as a film, I wasn't. I didn't feel it really came together all that well. But yeah, obviously there are some admirers out there, and I can certainly see why. Let's see. Oh no, Cinnamon San. The guy next to me was bored after 10 minutes into the movie Blade Runner 2049 and fell asleep not long after. Oh no, that's too bad. Well, it's not for it's not for everybody. Let's see. Roy O'Connor, I need to see A Ghost Story again. I felt a lot of existential dread from watching it. Interesting. I saw a trailer for that one, and it definitely was not the film I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like a horror movie, a la It Comes at Night, for instance. But from the trailer, it looked like it was more of a love story, more of a meditation on time and loss, which I did not realize it was that kind of movie. But it definitely did make me interested in watching it. Looks very beautiful. Public Awareness Network. What do you think of Fabrici Dueltz's movies? I am not familiar with that name, I am afraid to admit. But I'll write that name down, see if I can check out any of their work. Fabrice Duels. Interesting. Yeah, I suppose there's a possibility I might have seen something of theirs, but the name, yeah, is not jarring anything in my memory. So sorry about that. Let's see. Wonder if I can catch up at all. Oh, still 10 minutes behind. Let's see. Whoops, and it jumped ahead again, so yeah, probably gonna miss some more stuff. Gosh, I wish I could find a more elegant way of doing this, interacting with the chat. Let's see. Oh, some more Tarkovsky talk. Jack, I've tried to watch The Mirror 3 times and cannot get into it. Yep. Like I say, Tarkovsky's a challenge. You really got to be in the right mood. Oh, and Jackie's here. Welcome. The recent Stalker restoration is still doing rounds at several theaters near me. It looks incredible on the big screen. Yeah, I saw Solaris in a 35 millimeter print in Seattle at the Seattle Cinerama, which I've mentioned a couple times, and I'll say it again, is probably the best theater I've ever been to. And yeah, Solaris it's never been more hypnotic than on a big screen, and a really terrific, visually stunning projection. I've never been as absorbed by that film as I was watching it on a theater screen. So yeah, I could certainly imagine seeing Stalker on a theater screen. It must at the very least be better than trying to watch it on YouTube, I would imagine. Let's see, Chaz's Dungeon. Oh, you also watched Kill List, the Ben Wheatley film. Great twists and tense scenes, although Free Fire is still my favorite Wheatley film. I think that's been his most slickly made and certainly his most entertaining. Oh, and Chaz's follow-up on there. Also amazing for its budget. I'm assuming you're referring to Kill List. Although Free Fire is also a pretty low-budget movie, too. It's pretty impressive what they did, even with the budget they had on that one. But yeah, Wheatley's pretty impressive. He's quite the natural filmmaker. He really, you watch his movies, you'd never guess they were made as cheaply as they were. I also I rewatched Sightseers not too long ago. That's a really good one too. Great writing, great characters and performances. He and his wife Amy Jump, I believe, write all the screenplays for his movies, and yeah, they're incredibly clever screenwriters. Like their ability to write dialogue and to balance like these horrific moments with these incredibly funny little observations. It's pretty damn impressive. Yeah, his work I think has been pretty strong so far. And yeah, I talked about Free Fire not too long ago. That is a really good one as well. I think one of the best recent action movies. I've never been, too into stuff like the Fast and Furious movies. Obviously, they have their fan base. I'm not trying to knock that. It's never really been my thing, though. But something like Free Fire that is just kind of smaller, more self-contained, more driven by personality, and that takes these weird little risks, try something different. That's my kind of movie. I really loved Free Fire. That is, yeah, I think one of the best recent action movies. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend you check it out. Oh, and Cinnamon San, I liked High Rise too, but seemed to be almost the only one. Yeah, not too many people cared for that one. I liked it too, though. I was a big fan of the novel, the J.G. Ballard novel, and yeah, I'd always pictured what a great movie that novel would make. And I got to say, the Ben Wheatley film was not the movie I was expecting from that novel. It was much funnier than I think any other director would have dared make it, and very psychedelic too. Like it was like unabashedly adopting like this sort of Ken Russell psychedelic sort of visual approach. But I thought it was interesting. I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff in that movie, and it was very, very satirically funny. I think that movie doesn't get enough credit. High Rise, yeah, I'm a defender of that one. I'm with you, Cinnamon San. I think that's a good one. Let's see. Oh, Volstix. Has anyone seen Amy Seimatz's directorial debut? It's called Sun Don't Shine. I randomly found it on one of those IMDb members lists on the right-hand side of the recommendations. Oh, wow. I think I'd heard, because I think she started directing on that show, The Girlfriend Experience. They did a television version of Steven Soderbergh's The Girlfriend Experience, and I believe she directed a couple episodes of that. And Shane Carruth, interestingly, does the music for that show, which is about the only thing he's done in recent years. But yeah, I didn't know she made a feature film. I'll write that down. Sun Don't Shine. I'll have to see if I can find that somehow. Very cool. What else we got? Roy O'Connor. What do you think of Repo Man? I love Repo Man. That's one of my favorites. Alex Cox's first movie. Yeah, still one of the most punk rock films ever made. Yeah, so many great characters, so much quotable dialogue, just sheer anarchy. You never know what's coming next in that movie. It's so much fun. And I can't believe it was actually produced by a major studio. Who was it that did that one? I think it was Universal. Like, this is what upsets me, is that stuff like this doesn't happen anymore. Like, in the 80s, you could go to a major studio like Universal Studios that was putting out stuff like E.T. and gosh, whatever else was coming out in the mid 80s. These bigger movies, these like summer event pictures. But Universal, just studios at that time were more willing to take risks on newer filmmakers and smaller films and weirder ideas, as long as they could be made for below a certain amount. And Repo Man only cost $1 million. So, Universal's got these other like $20-30 million productions that they're doing. And they also just, they wanted, to cultivate talent and, to try and, because you never knew what was going to be a sleeper hit at that time. They were willing to take chances. A lot of big studios were willing to take chances in an era like that on just this first-time filmmaker, this weird script called Repo Man, and they just give them $1 million and just are like, okay, just go do your thing. Like, this isn't a lot of money to us, so just go ahead and make it. We'll see what happens. And you get a film like Repo Man. I wish there was still the opportunities like that in the industry. But unfortunately, yeah, they're no longer there. Just the big movies have gotten so big, there are no other resources to give to those smaller movies anymore. It's kind of tragic. But other areas of the industry have begun opening up to fill that gap, it seems. Like the video on demand platforms, the streaming platforms. So, the weirder stuff still gets made. It's just, you can't get it made in the traditional industry anymore, which I think is what's amazing about something like Repo Man, is that it was actually a studio film. It's so subversive and so bizarre. It's hard to imagine that was actually made by a major studio. It's incredible. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. You've never seen Upstream Color? I've heard that film being brought up a lot, although I'm still desperately waiting for the perfect mood to watch Upstream Color. I feel annoyed to admit that I haven't seen it yet. It's a good one. It's a really good one. I'm a big fan of that movie, although it is one that, I have to admit, I didn't really get it the first time I saw it. It took like about 2, maybe 3 viewings for me to really understand what it was doing. It really exists according to its own language, but it's an excellent movie, really excellent. I recommend, just sit down and watch it. Don't think about it. Just sit down, put it on, just start watching it, Let's see. Oops, and I lost my place again. Oh, okay. Volstix. I've heard of Fabrice Du Weltz. Did he do the film about... Oh, okay. Fabrice Du Weltz has made 3 movies. Public Awareness Network. Calvaire is his first and his best. It's on YouTube. You'll probably like his stuff. It's sort of horror, but mostly strange. Okay. I'll write that next to it. Calvaire. Yeah, never heard of it. Interesting. Calvaire. Okay. Try to give it a look. Let's see. Sasha, gonna see your recent American Werewolf in London review. It's my favorite horror movie, but I don't like horror. The American Werewolf in London is a classic. Not many movies have managed to make that extreme a balance between comedy and horror work really, really well. Someone knocking? Okay, I think it was just a bump. Let's see. Awkwardly Funny. Have you seen The Fountain? It's Darren Aronofsky's most underrated film. That is certainly an underrated one. The Fountain, I've seen that a couple times. I actually saw it in theaters twice, I think. I remember it was one that really confused me at the time. I was younger when I saw it. When did that come out? That must have been like 2008. So gosh, almost a decade ago now. Around that time, yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters twice and being very confused by it, but really struck by the imagery and just thinking, yes, there were some absolutely gorgeous sequences in it. The score by Clint Mansell is also genius. Um, yeah, it's one that is pretty extraordinary in a lot of ways. I've seen it a couple more times since then, and I feel like I understand more and more of it each time I watch it. It's one that still doesn't quite entirely work for me. I think it's an incredibly ambitious movie. It's a film that attempts to do nothing less than tackle the subject of life and death, which are pretty unanswerable questions. So there's only so far you can really go with trying to answer something like that. But The Fountain does a pretty admirable job. It's really a movie unlike any other. Probably Aronofsky's most ambitious that he's ever made. Although I haven't seen Noah, so I can't comment on that one. But yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think it's definitely a really great movie, even though I don't know. Gosh, I might need to watch it again. I can't really. It's been brought up a couple times on streams, and I always say like, yeah, it's flawed, and people always ask me like, well, what flaws do you mean? And I was like, I don't know, but maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that it's so ambitious, and it tries to ask. It asks these really immense questions that it's kind of like you can't really arrive at a solid conclusion at the end of something like that. You can't really settle on an answer to questions like that. So maybe that's what I mean by flaws. But regardless, it's still an amazingly well-made movie and really something worth seeing. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, Calvaire. Okay, so Jack's heard of Calvaire. Oh, wow, and Chaz's Dungeon. High Rise was a film I found insufferable to experience, although I'm not going to write off my opinion there. I want to watch the film again. Yeah, I've heard that about High Rise. There were some people that really did not like that movie. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think there's some interesting satire there. Again, I think it's meant to be more of a comedy than anything else. And I haven't really heard a lot of people like talking about it in that way. I don't know, if just the comedy didn't work for most people, or if they just didn't see the comedy there. I don't know, but I think it's meant to be watched more as a funny film than anything else, with, of course, horrifying moments in it and disturbing moments. Let's see, Sasha. Ooh, I got American Honey because you made it sound very interesting. That is an interesting movie. I'm a big fan of Andrea Arnold. She really makes the most challenging, electrifying films. All three, actually, she's done four, but I haven't seen, what was the one she did? Wuthering Heights? Jane Eyre? Or was that Cary Fukunaga? I don't remember now. I think it was Wuthering Heights that Andrea Arnold did. But the three films of hers that I've seen, Red Road, Fish Tank, and American Honey, I think are all incredible. Really worth tracking down and seeing. They are, just the most intense, like emotionally charged, like character pieces that I've ever seen. Her movies are raw and honest and ambitious, and challenging, self-indulgent, passionate. They take you on the most incredible rides. They really do. I think she's a great filmmaker, and all three of those movies are really worth watching. I think American Honey is pretty underrated too. I think it should be streaming on Amazon Prime. For anyone, who has that, wants to try and watch that movie. It's worth a look, really is. Volstix, Henry, I remembered I recommended Resolution to you. Well, the directors, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, they did stuff for the VHS series, the anthology horror films. They have a new film out, or out soon, called The Endless. It has a loose connection to Resolution. Okay. I'll write that down. The Endless. Yeah, not familiar with these directors or their work. But yeah, I'll try to check out both of those, Resolution and The Endless. I'll at least look them up. Roy O'Connor, what do you think of the Eric Andre show? I've never seen an episode, or I've seen part of an episode. I've never seen a whole episode. It looks pretty different, though, pretty wildly different. Really just an attack on the idea of a talk show. So I don't know. There's a part of me that appreciates the anarchy of what I witnessed. But I don't know. I might have to one of these days try and sit down and watch a whole episode. I do think Adult Swim has some pretty good stuff. Like I just recently went through all of Tim and Eric's work, and I thought their shows were pretty good, pretty disturbing, but also pretty funny. Really unlike anything else. They're such unique comedic voices. But yeah, Eric Andre's show certainly looks interesting. I'll have to try and give it a sit down and give it a look one of these days soon, because I know it's on Hulu, so I just need to make time to watch it. And I lost my place again, so sorry if I'm missing stuff. Oh boy. Okay, I'll just start from here. Roy O'Connor. Oh, I have to watch Repo Man again. I was not expecting that kind of film, even though I've seen weird films beforehand. It was fun to watch and very unique. Yeah, there's nothing else like Repo Man. Yeah, the twists that it takes, the bizarre elements that it just throws in there offhandedly. There's really no way to prepare yourself for that. But yeah, it is very fun to watch. And the more you watch it, I think the more you pick up on just the subtleties, the lines of dialogue. There's so many great pieces of dialogue in there. The Tracy Walters character, what's his name, Miller? Or is that somebody else? I can't remember. But all the monologues he has, I think, are so great. Like his whole riff that he has on like time machines and UFOs. You know how the Mayans invented television? It's so strange and so funny. I think that's a great movie. Let's see. Whoops. Lost it again. Oh, okay. I'm nearly caught up. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff, but I'm basically caught up. Volsticks. Andrea Arnold was a presenter on this kids show when I was growing up in the 80s called Number 73. It was set inside a house and they had cartoons, bands, etc. Wow, I did not know about that. Judging from her movies, I don't know, I guess her movies are about youth, but they're certainly not kids' films. I don't know, she's kind of like, I'd compare her work to Larry Clark, you know, just with how raw it is, how honest it is, how just completely non-judgmental it is, you know, just trying to see youth in all its anger and messiness, and yeah, just everything that comes with it. Her movies are intense. So I don't know. Maybe it's a surprise. I'm not sure. I certainly wouldn't have guessed that she started out on kids' TV, though. Let's see. Jack, speaking of Adult Swim, has anyone seen anything from Alan Resnick? I don't know that name. Alan Resnick. Doesn't ring a bell. Sorry about that. Let's see. Cinnamon Sand. American Honey is terribly underrated. Hey, thank you. Like Wild at Heart, it is a version of The Wizard of Oz. Interesting. I never noticed that connection before. I'd have to think about that for a second. I never thought about it as being like a version of Wizard of Oz. With Wild at Heart, I mean, it's right there on the surface. Like the good witch appears. I mean, there are pretty like obvious surface references to Wizard of Oz. With American Honey, yeah, I don't know. It never occurred to me. I'm gonna have to watch it again though with that in mind. I would like to see the movie a second time. Knock one what? Are you still depressed? Right now? No, I'm doing pretty well. Getting better at managing my moods. You know, I still have my down days, you know, where I have less energy, but I think I've gotten much better this last year or so at managing my depression, managing my moods. So yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Thank you for asking. Hope everyone else is doing well too. It sucks. Yeah, depression sucks. You've really got to, whether it's through therapy or medication or just I don't know, finding new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at the world, soul searching, meditation, whatever it is. Yeah, you got to find what works for you, to getting over something like that, or finding a way to manage something like that. And yeah, there's no shame in whatever method works for you. If you need medication, if that helps you, great. Yeah, don't be ashamed of that. Or therapy, whatever it is. But yeah, I think this last year or so, I've gotten much better at finding what works for me. Just a mindset. Yeah, managing stress. Yeah, being less hard on myself. A lot of different things. That yeah, it's gotten much better for me this last year. So thank you for asking. Let's see, Chaz's Dungeon. Can you discuss It Comes at Night after you're caught up? Yes, Chaz's Dungeon, I will do that. Maybe I should, yeah, just try to get through this really quick. I'm almost there. I'm only 2 minutes behind. But yeah, I do need to talk about It Comes at Night. This always happens. I'm sorry for anyone who tuned in to just listen to me talk about these specific movies. I always get caught up in this other stuff. Oh, Cinnamon Sand. There are many references to Wizard of Oz in American Honey. Watch it again, and you'll see. Okay, I will. I will try to do that when I get a chance. Matter of fact, I should write it down so I don't forget. American Honey. Need to give that a second watch. Wizard of Oz. Which, interestingly, I haven't seen Wizard of Oz in a long time. So that is also on the list here. I need to give Wizard of Oz another watch. Haven't seen it since I was a kid. I'd like to watch it as an adult and see what my reaction is to it. Seeing it now, it's been so long. Awkwardly Funny. What is your favorite, if any, John Waters movie? That's a tough one. I don't know. Serial Mom is pretty funny. I've always been a fan of Serial Mom. I think Crybaby is really good. What a cast Crybaby has. Not just like Johnny Depp and Iggy Pop and Susan Tyrrell, and Willem Dafoe is in there for one scene for some reason, and Tracy Lords. I mean, it's also got oh gosh, who was the woman who was kidnapped? I cannot remember her name, but she plays Tracy Lords' mother. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. It was like a huge media event at the time. Patty something. Ah, damn it. Gosh, I'm so bad with the names. I don't know what's going on. Joe D'Alessandro from the Andy Warhol movies is in it. Gosh, and so many others. All of the pop culture figures and underground figures, just all the people that John Waters is obsessed with. Crybaby really is the movie where he got to put them all into one film. It's pretty amazing to watch. So yeah, that's a pretty fun one. And unlike Hairspray, which I guess because Hairspray was remade as a musical, a lot of people tend to think of Hairspray as a musical. The original is not a musical. There are no songs in it. There are only dances. It's a dance movie, and Hairspray is a good one too. Maybe Divine's best performance in Hairspray. Crybaby is the only full-on musical that he did, and that's a good one too. I recently rewatched Cecil B. Demented. Really enjoyed that one. I mean, Pink Flamingos is an underground trash classic. I recently saw Multiple Maniacs for the first time. That, I mean, you could never get away with making a movie like that today. It's unbelievable. That was the thing that's most shocking about that movie is, especially when you think about the context in which it was released, Multiple Maniacs, it's basically about the Manson family, but it was before they had actually caught the Manson family. And Divine, in the movie, takes credit for the Manson family murders. That is so shocking, so tasteless. You could never do something like that today. I cannot believe some of the stuff that John Waters got away with. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, he's got a pretty good body of work. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. Serial Mom is the first that comes to mind, but I don't know. They all have their charms. They're all really just unbelievable movies in different ways. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Sorry, I can't answer it really definitively. But I've always been bad at picking favorites and number ones and listing things. But yeah, I don't know. But hopefully there's some interesting thoughts that I shared. Maybe Serial Mom. I don't know. I've always kind of found that to be his most funny. So maybe I'd go with Serial Mom, but I don't know. It's not definitive, unfortunately. Let's see. What else we got here? What else we got? And I lost my place again. Oh boy. Oh, thank you, LJ. If you ever need someone to talk to, Henry, I'm here anytime. Thank you so much. That's really, really nice of you. Thank you. What else we got here? Oh, Knock One What? What are your thoughts on Steve McQueen, the director, not the actor? He's a great filmmaker. Yeah, Steve McQueen, 3 pretty incredible movies that he's made. Hunger, I think, has remained my favorite. Yeah, the choices that he made on that movie are so daring. There are so many moments in that film that really stand out to me. Just the extended shots where he just kind of sets the camera down and really just lets a scene play out. That one shot that goes on for like 20 minutes or something, that is just Michael Fassbender and the other actor, the priest, whose name, of course, I can't remember right now, where they just have a dialogue exchange for like 20 minutes in just one shot, 1-2 shot, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So many, just remarkable choices that he made as a director in that film. So many harrowing scenes in it, so many great performances. It's really, Hunger still remains in my mind his most incredible film, his most striking film. But that certainly doesn't mean the other 2 are pretty incredible as well. Shame is really fantastic, also very harrowing. Yeah, 12 Years a Slave, devastating film, really devastating film. Again, with just his instincts, his choices, the way he presents the material, it's always so real and so focused and so intensely emotional. His movies, all 3 of them they're just this gut punch. They are so incredibly effective. I've talked about 12 Years a Slave a couple times. There are still moments in that movie. I've only seen it the one time. I saw it in theaters, but there are still moments in that movie that really stick with me very, very strongly. I think I've mentioned it before, but the one shot when Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays the lead character, when he gets like sort of hung from a tree, but his feet are just like barely touching the ground, like how long that shot is held for, it's excruciating. And the thing that is most horrifying to me, which I've also mentioned before, is how as the shot continues, like in the background, you see like children, like they start coming out of the cabins and like the housings in the background. They start coming out and they start playing and laughing. That to me is the most chilling part of that scene, not just like the incredible torture and pain that the lead character is experiencing, but the storytelling that is happening in the background, where you're realizing this is just normal for those kids. It happens so often they don't even notice it anymore. It's just like you get out of the way while something horrific happens, and then you just continue on playing, like it never happened. Ooh, so chilling. But yeah, he's an amazing filmmaker. His films are unforgettable. What else we got here? Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I want to see Cannibal Holocaust. Which should I see first out of Cannibal Holocaust, Martyrs, Audition, and Possession? I would not be the best person to consult on this. I have never seen Cannibal Holocaust. I've never seen Martyrs. I've seen bits of Audition, and the only one I've seen is Possession. I actually own that one on Blu-ray. That's a really good one. So clearly I'm biased here, but I would say start with Possession. That's the only one I've seen. I still need to see those other ones. And if you're a fan of like really extreme stuff like that, I don't know if Jack, Martyrs. Okay. So Jack recommends Martyrs. He might be the better authority on this. But if you want like a really extreme film or series of films to add to that list. If you're really into that kind of filmmaking, I'd also recommend checking out the Guinea Pig movies. Those are Japanese underground. It's a Japanese underground video series that is basically it's kind of like Cannibal Holocaust, where it tries to be like it tries to convince you that it's kind of like a genuine snuff film, essentially. They're very disturbing films. There's like 6 of them in total. I've only seen about half. I've seen 3 of them. I've seen the first one, I've seen the third one, and I've seen the fourth one. So I've seen about half of them. But they started out very realistic. Essentially, like they were the first like torture porn movies, essentially, and they're actually very chilling. There's a sort of a restraint to them and a realism that is very, very unsettling. So if you're a fan of something like Cannibal Holocaust or really extreme movies like that, you might want to check out, at the very least, the first 2 Guinea Pig movies, which, from what I understand, I haven't seen the second one, but from what I understand, the first 2 tried to be really realistic and really tried to present the idea that they were like these genuine snuff films, which they were apparently so convincing back in the day. They were released in the 80s, thereabouts. They were so convincing that the filmmakers were actually arrested, much like the filmmakers behind Cannibal Holocaust, and they were put on trial, and they had to prove that the movies were fake. Because like when they released the first Guinea Pig movie, it didn't even have credits on it. Like the story behind it was that they claimed that a journalist had discovered this tape, that it had been sent to them anonymously in the mail, and there were no names attached to it. It was filmed in an undisclosed location, and nobody knew where it came from. And it just turned up on the Japanese like underground video market one year, and a lot of people thought it was real. And then by the time they did the second one, the Japanese authorities had tracked them down, and they had to prove that the movies were faked. They had to like bring in the actors. They had to show how the makeup effects were done in order to get out of going to jail. And I think subsequently, the court actually ruled that all subsequent releases of the Guinea Pig movies on video had to come with a making of documentary to make sure that anybody who bought these movies knew they were fake, which I think is the only time a filmmaker has been court ordered to include a making of documentary with one of their movies. Interesting stories behind these films. And by the time they did the third one, I think because of the whole experience with the legal system, they decided to go much more slapstick and much more comedic with the series. So starting with number 3, they basically start becoming gore comedies. But the first 2 are pretty genuinely disturbing. I can only really speak about the first one because of the first 2, that's the only one I've seen. But I've heard the first 2, especially the second one, I've heard is supposed to be the most disturbing. But yeah, maybe worth adding to the list if you're a fan of that kind of filmmaking. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, wow, Jackie. Possession is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's definitely worth watching first. Okay, so I got some backup on Possession. In Chaz's Dungeon, the DVD, I'm guessing, of Possession is what you're referring to, is censored by a couple of minutes, although I'm certain that its effect won't deteriorate the film majorly. Yeah, that's I forgot about that. That's kind of a bummer. That Possession is a little difficult to find in its original director's cut, which is always annoying. I always hate when they censor and cut movies down. Yeah, it's always a drag. So yes, that doesn't happen a lot. But yeah, sometimes I've had to search for a little while to find like an original director's cut of like Lars von Trier's The Idiots, or Larry Clark's Ken Park, or Ken Russell's The Devils. Possession was another one. But the Blu-ray that I have it's the original director's cut. It's in its original anamorphic aspect ratio, and it's in HD. So yeah, everything you could hope for. Let's see. Oh wow, Chaz's Dungeon. I've heard a lot about those films. Okay, so you know about the Guinea Pig films. Okay. I only learned about them fairly recently. So those were a recent discovery for me. Kind of fascinated me, honestly. With the whole story behind them. It's I think so. I think I saw somebody mention Charlie Sheen. Yeah, Brynjar, welcome. Glad you could join us, Brynjar. Yeah, he mentions this. Charlie Sheen saw, I believe it was the second guinea pig movie, and he thought it was real. And yeah, he delivered it to the FBI. He did, yeah. He informed the FBI about the existence of Guinea Pig 2, and yeah, they started an investigation themselves. Oh yeah, Volstix mentioned it too. Yeah, Charlie Sheen did report it as a snuff film. I think those are how those movies are most famous. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I've heard that the effects in the second film are terrible. Interesting. Haven't seen the second one. Oh, and Brynjar, they are pretty brutal. Okay, so you've seen them. Except the sound effects, they are just cringy. Yeah, like I said, they were produced straight to video. So yeah, sometimes the production values are not going to be as good as they could be. But there are some good gore effects. The fourth one, The Android of Notre Dame, I think is actually a pretty good like body horror cyberpunk kind of movie. If you're really into stuff like Tetsuo the Iron Man, 964 Pinocchio, Android of Notre Dame is actually worth looking up. Sort of fits into that category, I think. Let's see. Awkwardly Funny. Have you seen Falling Down? I recently rewatched it and never realized how entertaining it was. Yeah, Falling Down's a good one. That's one of Michael Douglas's best performances, I think. And yeah, Joel Schumacher, honestly, I think Felix and I kind of talked about this in a Mega Movie Monday episode. Like his career is too often defined exclusively by his Batman movies, but he's done a lot of other stuff aside from that, like some genuinely good movies, stuff like Falling Down, stuff like The Lost Boys, a few others too, 8mm. I think he's got some good work out there. It's been a while since I've seen Falling Down, but yeah, I remember that one being really good. Again, very satirical, even though the material is very dark. It does take like a satirically funny approach to it. I don't think you could really do that anymore, sadly, with recent tragedies. It's kind of hard, yeah, in the current, I guess, cultural climate to make a comedy, a dark comedy about vigilantes. But yeah, for the time that it was made, I think Falling Down works really well. And yeah, Michael Douglas's performance is still really great, I think. Let's see. Roy O'Connor, do you like hip-hop artists like Frank Ocean, Chance the Rapper, Death Grips, and Childish Gambino? Also MF Doom? I've actually never listened to the majority of these artists. I've heard a little bit of Death Grips, but I haven't listened to most of them. So, I mean, I like Death Grips. I think they're really good, but I haven't listened to the rest, so I can't really comment upon them. Music is not one of my strong suits. I don't, unfortunately, listen to a lot of music. I wish I did. I need to listen to more. But I spend so much time just watching movies. I always put aside like the albums or the artists I want to listen to because like, oh, I have to see this film, I have to see that film. So yeah, I'm not as well versed in music as I should be. Oh, Zach Hayes, welcome. Have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil? It's a fun horror comedy. It's actually on Netflix, unlike the other two I keep recommending. I know everyone was saying that The Guest and You're Next are still streaming. I could not find them. I swear they are not on Netflix. So I'm glad, yeah, you're backing me up on that. Because yeah, you kept telling me they were there. I could not find them. So I'm glad I'm not crazy. But yeah, I have seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That is a very fun one. I like the way it subverts, yeah, the horror cliches and tropes and kind of presents them in this satirical comedic way. You know, it hits all of like the usual cliches, like the ominous like scenes like the abandoned gas station or the rundown gas station, the teenagers going into the middle of nowhere. But there's like this subversive comedy running through all of it that I thought was really well done and really funny. I would actually recommend Tucker and Dale versus Evil over something like Cabin in the Woods, because I really felt like Cabin in the Woods tried too hard. It tried too hard to be ironic, and it tried too hard to have it both ways, of doing all of those cliches basically exactly the way you expect them to be done, but trying to have this other layer on top of that saying like, oh, we're commenting on this, we're referencing ourselves, we're being really ironic about it. That didn't work for me. I liked much more that Tucker and Dale versus Evil actually gave you a different perspective. It took place from the point of view of the creepy hillbillies, who it turns out are not creepy. They just don't know how to talk to, pretty young girls. So they're just socially awkward. It really gives a different perspective on it and kind of twists everything and turns it on its head, that I found genuinely clever and really entertaining. So yeah, I think that one was a much better slasher movie satire than Cabin in the Woods was. And Amir, I just watched Holy Motors. That's a great one. I'm a big fan of Leos Carax. Eagerly anticipating his new film, which I understand is supposed to be a musical. That'll be interesting. But yeah, Holy Motors is a good one. So strange and so different and experimental. Let's see. Sasha, Falling Down was one of the first films I got into underage. Yeah, it's always fun to sneak into an R-rated movie. Those days are over for me. Now I can watch anything I want, and it's so boring. But yeah, it was always great, getting to watch, being younger, and getting to watch stuff you weren't supposed to watch. Movies had romance then. They were exciting. They were forbidden. Let's see. I think I'm almost caught up on stuff. Oh yeah, Roy O'Connor, yeah. Wow, did this actually happen? Charlie Sheen watched one of the guinea pig movies at a party and he called 911. I didn't realize that was what happened. I thought he just got into contact with the FBI later. That is a better story, though, that he just panicked and called 911 immediately. That is the better version of the story, I think. Okay, it looks like I'm about caught up now with the chat. Chaz's Dungeon, Tucker and Dale versus Evil looks great, although I'm worried that the film will end up like Cabin in the Woods. Nice to hear that the film doesn't go for the same approach. Yeah, I thought Tucker and Dale was pretty genuinely clever and actually had, a really interesting, different kind of presentation on all those normal cliches. It actually does kind of spin it and do something different with it, rather than just kind of commenting essentially directly to the audience like, hey, we're doing this cliche. Isn't it funny that we're doing this cliche? It actually turns those cliches on their head, which I thought, was much smarter and much funnier. Oh, Zach Hayes, I agree with you. Cabin in the Woods, on the Cabin in the Woods points, a little overrated. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I wasn't a big fan of that movie. Oh yeah, Chaz's Dungeon, Cabin in the Woods embraced more errors than made fun of them. Yeah, that's I kind of felt the same way. That it was just it was a little too ironic without really doing anything new or different. At least that's the way I reacted. But some people really did. Some people really did like it. That's okay. Oh gosh, Sasha, thought the stream might be a nice distraction from my MS pain, but it's too strong, so I will go now. I'm very sorry to hear that, Sasha. I hope you feel better. Perfectly understand. But yeah, take care of yourself, man. Hope you do okay. Sorry to hear about that, but glad you could join us for a while. So thanks. Have a good one. Brignar. I think Tucker and Dale versus Evil is more like Shaun of the Dead, which is basically just fun without trying too hard. Yeah, exactly. I would actually agree with that too. I kind of reacted to Cabin in the Woods that way as well, that it was trying a little bit too hard to be clever, and presenting this attitude like it was above the material it was supposed to be skewering, that it was superior. It kind of had this arrogant, superior attitude that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's the way I read it, at least. Oh, you're welcome, Sasha. Yeah, feel better, man. Feel better. Take care of yourself. So yeah, how long have I been going? About an hour now. Should talk about the movies I came here to talk about. Sorry for the wait for anyone who has just been waiting for me to talk about It Comes at Night, Chaz's Dungeon. But yeah, It Comes at Night. So yeah, I'm sure probably most people have heard of this one. But if you haven't, yeah, this is a horror movie. Oh yeah, I know. Chaz's Dungeon. I don't intend any offense, although do you mind if you discuss It Comes at Night now? I don't have much time left. No offense taken. No offense taken. But yeah, I will start talking about it. But yeah, so this is the movie, horror movie, came out this year, the very low budget indie kind of horror film. The second film from writer-director Trey Edward Schultz, who his debut was the critically acclaimed Krisha, which I haven't seen. Okay, Jack saying no spoilers. Noted. Okay, no spoilers on It Comes at Night. No spoilers. Gotcha. So yeah, this is his second film. I haven't seen Krisha yet, but I've heard excellent things about it. I'm gonna have to check it out now. But yeah, this basically, in a nutshell, without spoiling too much, but to give a plot synopsis, essentially, and if you don't want to know anything about it, you might want to mute the stream for a second. But basically, yeah, the concept behind it is that it takes place after an unspecified catastrophic event that appears to have devastated the human population and completely crumbled society. Although, much like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, we get more of an impression of the outside devastation than we actually really see on screen. It's more kind of this movie that plays on tension and atmosphere and giving you the idea of this much larger event while keeping the film itself focused on a very intimate and self-contained setting and group of characters, which I thought it did extremely well. Basically, it follows a family, a small family, father, mother, and their teenage son, kind of holed up in this house in the middle of the woods, and basically just trying their best to quietly survive. One day, early on in the movie, they have an unexpected visitor. A stranger wanders into their domain, claiming he also has a family and they're looking for food and water. So basically that kind of kicks off the major events of the film. And it kind of turns into this exploration of trust, of family, of suspicion, paranoia, suspense, claustrophobia, and yeah, it basically just becomes this human drama about who you can trust and what you're willing to risk and what you're willing to lose. I did a little bit of reading about this movie after I saw it, because as I mentioned earlier in this stream, I found it to be surprisingly emotional, like very devastatingly emotional. I was tremendously moved by the film at the end in a way I wasn't expecting to be. I was hoping it would be scary and suspenseful, and it was very well done. The suspense sequences, the whole movie is just relentlessly tense. It establishes its setting, its characters, its atmosphere so well, and there are so many great visual moments and set pieces where you are just totally caught up in the immediacy and so just gripping the edge of your seat. Yeah, I'm searching for the words right now. I resort to cliches so often, but I mean, you really do. It's unbearably tense because of how well made it is, how well controlled it is, and how much you really do care for the characters. You believe in them as people. You get invested in their complex and subtle relationships with one another, and you really do care what is going to happen with them, which is why the suspense is so effective. And the direction from Trey Edward Schultz is absolutely stunning. I can't believe this is only his second film. His control over the movie, his precision, the cinematography is incredible. His confidence, the way he directs every single scene and sequence without resorting, to a lot of obvious tricks and cheap jump scares. He presents scenes, in as few shots as possible, like his confidence in just letting scenes play out and letting a shot, continue and go and drag out more tension and more suspense. It's really amazing. It's some of the best horror filmmaking I think I've ever seen. And on top of that, it does create really genuinely sympathetic characters who are complex. They have layers. I mean, they have dimensions. This is a movie that really doesn't try to separate itself into heroes and villains. Everyone is just kind of a normal person, and you believe that they are normal people just trying to make what they feel are the best decisions in impossible, extreme situations and circumstances. And I loved how the movie, it doesn't try to tell you how to feel about everything. It doesn't try to, overly explain every aspect of itself. This is exactly how this person feels. This is exactly what's going on outside. This is exactly, everything that's taken place. This is exactly how you should feel about this decision that this character has made. It leaves it up to you to interpret. So the decisions the characters make, we may agree with them, we may disagree with them, we may feel they're the right decisions or the wrong decisions, but what's important is that the movie is so well written, so well directed, and especially so well acted that we understand exactly why each character makes that decision, whether it's right or wrong, whether it leads to positive or negative consequences. We understand exactly what led to that decision, why it was made, which I found to be so incredible about this movie. And I started talking about this, then I got sidetracked by other stuff. But I was actually reading about the film afterwards, and I discovered, which I think absolutely accounts for the emotional impact that it has. I discovered that Trey Edward Schultz, he wrote the script almost immediately after his father passed away. So the idea, the story, the movie itself came from a very personal, very emotional place in his mind. Cat scratching back there. And I think really that is at its core what this movie is about. It's about loss. And more than, being about the fear of a monster, being about the fear of the dark or some kind of ominous presence, I think what it's really about is the fear of loss. That is what these characters are really afraid of more than anything. They're afraid of losing what is most important to them, their family. And so every decision kind of comes from that place. I want to protect what is most important to me. And it is what leads to the decisions that these characters make. And it is what makes them so human and so sympathetic. And what makes the ending, I think, so emotionally resonant, so powerful. I just thought this was a great movie. So many layers of complexity, so many themes that it leaves you really thinking about and really feeling just in an emotional way, of putting yourself in those characters' shoes and imagining, having to make those kinds of decisions and living with those kinds of fears. It really just places you there. And everyone, just delivers such stellar work. Really looking at the movie, and of course, being an aspiring filmmaker myself, I was really just marveling at how well directed it was, how well shot it was, how carefully edited it was and well paced it was, the incredible soundtrack and sound design, which are so evocative and so effective. But also the performances are just terrific, just absolutely terrific. This is a great movie, and one I cannot recommend highly enough. I mentioned that, the audience reaction to this movie seems to be very, very negative. Maybe it just had to do with expectations of people expecting a more straightforward kind of film, a more just kind of, I guess, more kind of raw kind of horror film, something more along the lines perhaps of The Conjuring or something kind of like that, which those movies are good at what they do. It Comes at Night, though, is definitely not that. It's a different kind of film. And for what it is, I think it's a masterpiece and really one of the best horror films to come around in a while. One of the great modern horror films. I firmly believe that. And if you saw it once, didn't care for it, I recommend you check it out again. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely give it a look. It's so good. It is so, so good. I got a cat on my desk right here. Don't knock anything over. But yeah, I'm going to go through the chat now, see what else we got going on here. Let's see. Oops, got a few things. Try to catch up now. Let's see. Okay, that's where I left off. Zach Hayes, I really liked It Comes at Night. I think some people were misled from the title and maybe from the trailer. Okay. Yeah, I was seeing some comments online of stuff like the movie was boring, that it was, it was nothing new. It just kind of was like, it's the same basic thing that I guess a lot of other films have done. Maybe those people have viable. Is that the right word? God, I'm starting to get a little tired now. But I'm sure those. God damn it. Okay. But yeah, I'm sure those people maybe they have viable points. But for me, I thought this movie really stood out. Really did something different and something that I wasn't expecting with the material of making it about family and loss and making it an emotional film rather than just simply a viscerally terrifying film. I thought it went a lot deeper than that, and I was very impressed by it. So yeah, maybe it just has to do with expectations, perhaps. Chaz's Dungeon. I wanted to discuss the film, although I understand, and I do think that you all need to see this film. Yeah. Sorry if we can't spoil stuff to have a more deeper discussion about certain things. But if some people don't want spoilers, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, because this is a film to just experience, to follow the twists and the turns, to contemplate the consequences, and to really be caught up in the ambiguities. Is this character telling the truth? Can this character be trusted? What's going to happen here? You get so wrapped up in the immediacy of it. It's so well done, so well done. And Alejandro Moncrief, Krisha is underrated. The one I mentioned earlier, this director's first film. Krisha is underrated. I think it's a really stylish character study. Let's see. And yeah, I think actually Krisha is streaming on Amazon Prime. So I'll have to try and give that a watch, definitely. Now that I've seen this one and loved it so much, I want to see some of this director's other stuff. Yeah, interestingly, I found out like he's kind of worked his way up in the industry too. Like he worked as a camera assistant on a bunch of recent Terrence Malick movies. Like he worked on Tree of Life, I think, is like a film loader or something, or just like a PA or something. Song to Song, he worked on that one. So he's hung around, some pretty great filmmakers, and I'm sure picked up some pretty great pointers and ideas, certainly from those experiences. I mean, Terrence Malick is a great place, is a great teacher, I'm sure, for learning how to tell a story and how to really reach an emotion. So I'm sure that guy probably picked up some great stuff at the hands of the master. Let's see. Cinnamon San, It Comes at Night had the same sort of paranoid vibe that Aliens had, I thought. I think I saw you posted it. Yeah. Cinnamon San, sorry. The Thing I meant, not Aliens. That's okay. But I think absolutely of kind of just giving it one setting, a limited number of characters, and just playing on the idea of trust. Do these characters trust each other? Can they trust each other? And exploring their paranoia and getting that to rub off on the audience, like letting us experience the paranoia along with them, because we do genuinely care for these characters and we want the best for them, but we also don't know, because it's so ambiguous and things aren't precisely explained. We never know how much we can trust certain characters, which is a really terrific choice, I think, on the part of Schultz as a writer. To leave those ambiguities in there and to leave the audience questioning certain things. It makes the film all that much more effective. Let's see. Zach Hayes. In my opinion, I think It Comes at Night should have ended like 5 minutes or so before it actually ended. I don't know that I agree with that because, like I said, the movie is about family and it's about loss. So I think those last 5 minutes, not to go too deep into spoiler territory here, I think they were necessary to drive home the core theme of the movie. How it's like the nightmare come to life, essentially. This isn't a movie about monsters. This is a movie about people and loss. And I think for the horror that this movie is exploring, that is the most horrifying way that it could have ended for the story that it was trying to tell. So I disagree with that analysis. I think the last 5 minutes were absolutely necessary, at least from my perspective, the way I was reading the movie. I thought they were there for a very clear reason, in my opinion. Let's see. Okay. Not too far behind. Chaz's Dungeon. Okay. I do agree that the ending was abrupt. Okay. Although at the same time, I found the ending to be quite depressing. Well, of course. And also, I love the execution of the film. As much as the character. Yeah, and you never find certain things out. Like I said, the movie keeps a lot of ambiguity there. There are things that are never answered definitively, which I thought was a bold choice and very effective. Really well done. Thought that was, an absolute spot-on choice. And also Chaz's Dungeon, I agree, I was emotionally struck by the movie. Yeah, it's an emotional experience, much more so than you expect a horror film to be. and yeah, it does have a few vibes from The Thing. What else we got here? Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. Oh, okay, the film has a few vibes from The Thing in terms of you knowing what the characters know, which people just didn't understand and mistook the decision for poor writing, which Volstix appears to agree with. Yeah, I agree with that. I think where the movie withholds information, it was definitely deliberate. I absolutely agree with that. And I think, that was part of what made the suspense so effective. I think I'm kind of repeating myself now. So sorry about that. And Zach Hayes, and I'm glad you guys got to see The Devil's Candy, which was really good. Talk about Halloween movies, intense movies. That is an intense one. Really intense, almost unbearably so. First time I watched it, I didn't know if I wanted to see where it was going to go, but man, was it good. Very, very good. Again, a horror movie that just gets you invested in characters and a family dynamic, and then builds a situation that is just relentlessly intense and suspenseful, so well directed. Devil's Candy is a good one. Streaming on Netflix. Highly recommend it to any fans of like horror, thriller, intense, suspenseful movies. Devil's Candy is a good one. Really good one. And Zach Hayes, I unfortunately haven't seen it yet. Interesting, but I've heard good things. So I figured to recommend it. I haven't disappointed you yet on my recommendations. That you have not. Yeah, you've had some pretty good recommendations. And Chaz's Dungeon, going back to It Comes at Night, the characters in this film aren't dumb. That's what I loved. They try their hardest to think of the best solution. Absolutely. And they're flawed. They're human. They don't always find the best solution, which, is what is so great about the movie. They're just people doing their best. And it's so heartbreaking. That they try, but they can't always find the best solution. But they're so human, and you understand, exactly why each decision was made, whether it's the best or the worst decision. You know what led them there, and you can relate to it. And Chaz's Dungeon, Joel Edgerton was great. He is great. He's one of those actors. I always think of him as a tough guy, maybe because the first movie I saw him in was Warrior, where he plays like an MMA fighter. I always think of him as always playing like these tough guy sort of characters, but he's a really vulnerable, like sensitive, emotional performer. Like he always projects such vulnerability. You look into his eyes, in just any movie like this one, or The Gift was another great one, which he wrote and directed. The Gift is a terrific movie too. But yeah, you just look into his eyes, he projects like such vulnerability, such depth of emotion. He's really not just your stereotypical tough guy. He's got so many more layers than that. He's a great actor, great performer. Okay, yeah, but back to your comment though. Joel Edgerton was great. Now discussing the film, I'm reminded of how much emotion I felt due to the performances. Yeah, and the other actors were terrific too. I think they're relative newcomers. Like the guy that plays the son, the teenage son, he was really good. The actors that play the other family were all excellent. Riley Keough, I think is how you say her name, who was in American Honey, funnily enough. And a couple other recent movies. Logan Lucky, a really underrated Soderbergh movie that came out this year. Couple other movies. She's an up and comer. Yeah, she's in this movie. She's great. Yeah, all the other actors whose names unfortunately I can't recall. Everyone was so terrific in this film. Let's see. Cinnamon Sand, many trailers I think are misleading these days. Arrival's trailer, for example. I never saw the trailer for Arrival, and I'm kind of glad I avoided it. I kind of went into Arrival just totally blind, basically, and was just so blindsided by it. I used blind twice in a row there, and that was kind of, that bothers me. But I was so struck by that movie in a way I didn't expect to be. Again, a very emotional movie. I went in just thinking, okay, sci-fi movie, aliens, gotcha. And I was weeping at the end of Arrival. I was so deeply affected by it. Yeah, it's always great to be taken by surprise by a movie like that. You heard it's good, but you don't know a lot about it, so you just kind of sit down and watch it and just get hit so hard by the experience that you have. I love when that happens. And yeah, I think I avoided most of the trailers for It Comes at Night as well. Because yeah, unfortunately, that is the way marketing works. That's definitely not a new phenomenon. It's been around for a while. I mean, as long as there have been studios and marketing, that yeah, basically it's about what you can sell the movie as. Cat scratching again over there. But it's basically about what you can sell this movie as, rather than trying to give an impression of what the movie is actually like. I think he wants out now. I better let him out. I hear ya. Woo. Okay. Let's see. Where am I now? Whoop, I'm a little far behind now. Okay, let me just try and find where I was. It jumped me ahead again. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, Cinnamon Sand. The trailer for Arrival made it look like an action movie, which it definitely is not. The Blade Runner trailers are kind of doing that too. They're really trying to emphasize the action more than the storytelling and the atmosphere and the tension of it. Which is really what those movies are about. Denis Villeneuve, he really isn't an action filmmaker. Not even like Sicario was really an action movie. And that was probably the most action-heavy movie he's done so far. Yeah, maybe Blade Runner's up there too. But they really aren't action movies. They aren't about, just building to an action climax. They really try to tackle a lot of interesting, heavy themes, and they really are more about story and tension and contemplation. They're definitely not action movies. But that's the best way to sell a movie like Sicario or Blade Runner. Emphasize the action. Emphasize the things that people recognize. So what are you going to do? Let's see. Oh, Volstix, the sound design on It Comes at Night was incredible. Up there with Eraserhead, in my opinion. Wow. No, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, and the musical score too, I thought really brought out a lot of tension as well. Yeah, everything about It Comes at Night was so well put together. But yeah, definitely the sound design, as with Eraserhead, which is so essential to creating the atmosphere of that movie. I mean, it's absolutely essential to a movie like It Comes at Night as well, which relies so much on ominous atmosphere and the feeling of foreboding tension, which yeah, that movie absolutely has. So you cannot underestimate the sound design in that sense. And yeah, it really succeeds. It really succeeds. Great sound design. Chaz's Dungeon. I feel gutted for the director Trey Edward Schultz. He probably receives millions of messages from arrogant audiences who don't understand his film and illustrate his film on the same level as Troll 2. You kidding me? People are comparing that movie to Troll 2? That's unbelievable. Oh God, even if you don't like this movie, it is nowhere near Troll 2. That's incredible. Yeah, I can't figure it out. I can't figure out what people were just not, why this movie just wasn't hitting with a lot of people. I don't get it. It's such a good movie. But I don't know. I think ultimately time is the final critic. And I really have a feeling, just because It Comes at Night is such a quality film, that 10 years from now, people are still going to be talking about it. People are still going to be watching it. And yeah, whatever people are missing in it right now, eventually, I think it's going to get the reappraisal that it deserves. I think it's just going to take some time. And eventually, I think people will find it. People will see what they missed, or other people will discover it. I think the quality of this movie is definitely there. It's not one that's just going to go away and fade into obscurity. It's too good for that to happen. So I think we just need to give it a little bit of time. But definitely, as long as we keep talking about it, hopefully other people will discover it and see how good it is. That's my hope, at least. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, okay, Alejandro Moncrief again. I just felt the ending of It Comes at Night was too rushed. And some specific details of the flow of the narrative were half-baked. Interesting. I definitely don't agree with that. Not saying you're wrong, of course. If that was how you reacted, that's how you reacted. But I definitely reacted differently. I thought it was extremely well paced. Yeah, every transition, every twist, every turn, I thought it was very well done, very well paced. It kept me absolutely hooked from start to finish. And the ending, I thought it was, again, because you just understand exactly what leads to those consequences based on the decisions the characters have made. It felt like it was tragic, but I understood exactly what took us there. And yeah, to me, it fit right in with what the story was trying to explore and the themes that Schultz was trying to dive into. So I was pretty damn satisfied with it. I can't think of any major criticism I would level at the movie. If anything, it would just be tiny little nitpicky things that really don't make a difference. Just overall, I thought the movie was so strong and so terrifically executed on every level. So yeah, certainly I can understand some of the criticisms of the ending, perhaps, but I was pretty happy with it. Even though, yeah, it's a sad ending, I was pretty happy with how we got there and the purpose that the ending served. And yeah, I thought it was perfectly paced, absolutely perfectly well paced. Okay, in Chaz's Dungeon again. I can understand those who think that the film is generic. Although those complaining that the film is dumb, I strongly disagree with. Absolutely, yeah. I can understand, if somebody says this movie is boring, maybe. Okay. Some people, yeah, don't like this kind of filmmaking. All right, whatever. Some people saying the film is generic. okay, it does obviously take a lot of influence from something like Night of the Living Dead, The Shining, different movies like that, claustrophobic thrillers. All right. But dumb. Yeah. I cannot see where someone is coming from if they're saying this movie is dumb. I thought it was very smart. I maybe just people being angry at the mistakes the characters make, but that to me was the whole point. They're not perfect. They're just people. They make mistakes. I don't think that means they're dumb. I think that just means they're human, which is what I found so relatable about them. But yeah, I'm with you, Chaz's Dungeon. I strongly disagree with anyone that would call this movie dumb. I did not react that way at all. And Chaz's Dungeon, I'd love to see Krisha due to my experience from It Comes at Night. You and me both. I'm going to hopefully see that one fairly soon. And Alejandro Moncrief, oh, that's a silly thing to say. It Comes at Night is anything but dumb. In terms of atmospheric force only, it's stunning. Hey, right there with you on that one. We may disagree on certain things, but I absolutely agree with you on that one. Atmospheric force, stunning. What else? Oh yeah, and Chaz's Dungeon says, oh well, at least it did well at the box office. At least Schultz has that. That he does. I mean, yeah, it was a small enough movie. It wasn't like a huge sleeper hit, but it was profitable. It did well, which is good. It means he's going to get his third film financed. So we can look forward to that. Let's see. Oh, Volsticks. I could see some of Harold Pinter in the writing. It has the same oppressive tone as the film adaptation of The Birthday Party, I reckon, which I have never seen that, and I am not familiar with the work of Harold Pinter. So unfortunately, yeah, I can't elaborate on that. Apologies. But an interesting point. Harold Pinter. Interesting. I've heard of him, but yeah, I'm not familiar with his work as of yet. Chaz's Dungeon. I feel as if I'm being too harsh, although I'm just frustrated at how ignorant some of these reviewers are. I understand. When you see a movie you really love, it can really throw you. It can really, get you. You can take it personal sometimes, when people criticize those movies. I certainly, when I saw some of the recent criticisms of like the original Blade Runner, and I've talked to people that are really critical of the movie Arrival, which I love so much. You can't help but sometimes take that personally. It's difficult, but I try never to take it personally. But sometimes when you love a movie so much, it's like, what do you mean you didn't like it? You can't help it. But yeah, it's important to just take a step back and remember, like, okay, these people, they aren't insulting me. They just didn't happen to like the movie. Oh, well. Let's see. Oh, Alejandro Moncrief. The sexual tension between Travis and Kim could have been explored more deeply, for example. Minor spoilers there. Sorry, I read that before I really thought about it. But I'm not going to go into any more specifics than that. So hopefully no more spoilers. But I can see what you're saying. I don't know that I agree with that. Yes, there are many things that the film could have explored more deeply, but I like that it left a lot of those subtleties more unexplored. It sets up the potential for all of these other things before moving in its own direction. You kind of the characters start expanding in your head. You pick up on certain cues or emotional subtleties here and there in the performances and the writing, where you do wonder, like, I wonder if the characters feel this. I wonder, if potentially this could develop, or if the story could go in this direction. I like that it had that complexity and that the relationships were so well thought out and had so much detail in that way before certain events take place that lead it firmly down a specific direction. But I like that. To me, it added more ambiguity of just not being sure how to feel about everyone. Can we trust this character? Can we trust that character? How much is being manipulated? Is there subterfuge happening? What's really going on? To me, it just added to the complexity and the layers of what was going on. So I liked those choices. I liked that, there were things that could have been explored more deeply that weren't. I like that it's just kind of hinted at. A lot of these things are just hinted at. I mean, for instance, the relationship between Joel Edgerton and his son. I mean, you got to wonder what's going on there too. Is he Travis's biological father? Is he a stepfather? I mean, there's subtleties there that are not quite explicitly stated that do kind of deepen the film in a lot of ways as well. There's a lot that is left unsaid, which I really enjoyed. Chaz's Dungeon, in my opinion, It Comes at Night is the best horror film of the year. Having said that, I haven't seen Raw yet, which is also good. Raw is very, very good. Oh, and you have the film on DVD, though. Okay, well, give it a look. It's a good one. I did enjoy that one. Very different kind of horror movie. Definitely not in the same category as It Comes at Night. It goes in a very different direction, but is also very, very good for what it is. Also very, very tense as well. Chaz's Dungeon. How can I watch The Devil's Candy? As far as I know, the film only has a digital release. I don't know if anyone answered you there, but I saw it on Netflix. It's streaming on Netflix. Maybe you can see it there. I don't know where you live and yeah, exactly how streaming rights work in different territories, but I would check Netflix if you have that. I don't know if you do, but that's where I saw it. Yeah, and I don't know if it's gotten like a DVD release or anything. It's weird the way it works now. Some movies never even get a physical release anymore, which is crazy. But yeah, I might have to look into it. Sorry, I can't be more helpful there. But yeah, I just watched the movie on Netflix, so that's the only way I know of to recommend seeing it. Let's see. Yeah, Ballsticks Edgerton directed The Gift too, didn't he? Really good movie. Yeah, The Gift was excellent. I saw that one fairly recently, and I was very impressed by that one. That The Gift, the twists that it takes, the direction that it goes in the second half, I thought was so original and so clever. That was a very well written movie. I was very impressed by that. The Gift, yeah, absolutely is worth a look. And looks like Chaz's Dungeon is out of here. Take care, man. Have a good one. Oops, lost my place again. Okay. Zach Hayes, I remember you guys bringing up Synecdoche, New York for a mega movie video, but you said it wasn't a horror film. It is, in Kaufman's opinion, just not a traditional one. It was written for Spike Jonze. Interesting. I did not know about that. That's interesting. It is a meditation on death, so I suppose you could read it as a horror film in some sense. I don't know. I'm sure it's one we will eventually end up talking about. I don't know if we'll cover it in October. Though, it's getting a little tricky. Working out Felix, the schedules between Felix and myself. We're having a little trouble, yeah, working out days for recording videos now. But hopefully we'll get it figured out. Let's see. Zach Hayes, Spike didn't do it. Synecdoche, New York. Spike Jonze didn't direct it because it wasn't a horror he found engaging. Interesting. It's like he didn't like the screenplay. I didn't know about any of this. That's interesting. He directed like 2 Kaufman screenplays in a row. That's interesting. He would turn down the third one. And yeah, Chaz's Dungeon also mentioned Inland Empire. Alejandro Moncrief, Inland Empire is such a gem. Buckle up and prepare for a 3-hour-long Lynchian nightmare. For better or for worse, yep, it is exactly that. And Ballsticks, slight digression. Anyone else hyped for 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Mississippi, the new Martin McDonough film? Certainly I am. Yeah, both of McDonough's films, I think he's only done 2, but definitely both of those have been pretty damn good so far. In Bruges was a really good one, and 7 Psychopaths I thought was an excellent film as well. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for his new movie. He's an incredibly talented and incredibly original writer and a very good director too. I'm sure it's going to be dark and funny and probably horrifically violent in a lot of scenes as well. Seem to be the three things you can always rely upon from Martin McDonagh. Yeah, I should find out when that one's coming out. Maybe I could go see that one in Portland. I'm sure it'll be playing there. Let's see. Zach Hayes, have you seen Away We Go? It's an interesting small film by Sam Mendes. No, I have not seen that one. There's a lot of Sam Mendes I haven't seen. I guess not a lot, but like key ones that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Road to Perdition. Road to Perdition. I haven't seen American Beauty, and I haven't seen Away We Go. But I do think his Bond movies are pretty good. Skyfall is one of the best Bond movies, I think. And what's the other one? Jarhead. I saw Jarhead. I think Jarhead is a great war movie. One of the best and most underrated. I rewatched Jarhead a couple times not too long ago. Was very impressed by it. I'd highly recommend that one. But yeah, I need to see more Sam Mendes. And Alejandro Moncrief. I really want to see that new McDonagh film, mostly because I love Frances McDormand. Yeah, she's great. It's nice to see her in another starring role now. Doesn't seem like she gets too many of those anymore. But yeah, I'm sure she's going to be great. And McDonagh always creates such interesting original characters. I'm sure she's going to give a hell of a performance too. Let's see. Roy O'Connor, the soundtrack of It Comes at Night was incredible. I have to watch it again. Yes, and I should watch it again too, because it was a great movie. Zach Hayes, what I found interesting with It Comes at Night, the only thing they changed to the house was adding the red door. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think Schultz said the house in the movie, it wasn't the same house, but I think he said it was inspired by his grandparents' house, like his childhood home. So this movie did definitely come from a very personal place for him. I think that's where the emotion of it really comes from, is that this is a really personal movie in a lot of subtle details that you don't really pick up on, but I think you can feel. You're maybe not aware of it, but just because he's so tuned in to the emotions of the characters and the things that they're thinking and feeling, that I think just as an audience member, you do pick up on that, even if you're not consciously aware of it. At least I did. It made total sense to me. Like when I started reading the backstory behind the movie, it's like, oh, of course. That's why it was so moving, because it was so personal. Let's see. Ball sticks. Oh shit, yeah. I should say I watched Arrival again and basically agree with the consensus on this channel. Brilliant. I think I just expected the immediate hit of love at first sight I got from Enemy, Sicario, Prisoners, etc. Well, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, that Arrival, I think it's hard to choose, but it is definitely one of Villeneuve's best. I loved Arrival so much. Enemy is probably still my favorite, but Arrival and Blade Runner are pretty tightly locked for the second spot, for me at least. Yeah, I love all of his movies, but those three especially, I thought were amazing. What else? Oh, Zach Hayes, I didn't like the alternate ending for The Gift. It just pretty much answered everything. Well, then I guess it's a good thing that Edgerton went with the ending that he did. Yeah, it's kind of funny sometimes. You look at like deleted scenes or alternate endings. It's like, oh my God, that's so clearly a wrong decision. But I guess that's why they cut it out. It's kind of funny, yeah, to get a glimpse behind the scenes in that way. It's like, oh my God, this could have been a disaster. Thank God they avoided that. Oh, and Jack. I thought Spike Jonze didn't do Synecdoche, New York because he wanted to do Where the Wild Things Are. Alejandro Moncrief says, yeah, I think that's it, Jack. Interesting. I might have to look into that. Yeah, I don't know too much about Synecdoche, New York, and it's been so long since I've seen it. I do need to go back to that one, try to find out a little bit more on it. I always like getting the backstories behind movies that I admire. And Ball Sticks, speaking of Charlie Kaufman, I saw Anomalisa last week. It was pretty great, but it did not gain anything from being animated, in my opinion. My medium specificity bugbear. It did nothing a live film couldn't do. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. Maybe. I think certainly it was trying to be animated. It was trying to use animation in a way that didn't feel like animation. It was trying to be very realistic and basically make you forget that it was an animated movie, which I found very interesting. I'd never really seen a movie like that before, that was using stop motion, but basically keeping everything so grounded and so realistic and trying to make you forget that it even was animated. But I think if anything, it did allow for some pretty trippy and disturbing dream sequences, like using the facial plates, which they use in stop motion. They create like a facial plates with different expressions, and then to create like facial movements that frame by frame, they just switch out the face plates. And that gets used in a very creative way in Anomalisa for dream sequences. And it's very unsettling. And I don't think it would have been as effective if they'd done live action. So I don't know. I think it uses the medium in an interesting way, in a way I've never really seen before. So I think I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Volstix. I think it does gain a certain something from being stop motion. And also just maybe the intimacy of it, the nudity and the sexuality. I think because, it's just 3D printed figures being manipulated, in those scenes, I think it allowed Kaufman to get a lot more intimate in those scenes than he probably would have been willing to do if it'd been real actors, because it's a touchy thing, you've, depending on the actors you get, they might not be willing to go to those places or expose themselves in certain ways. But with animated figures, no big deal. You can do whatever you want. So I think that did allow him, to maybe to go to places in those scenes that he might not have gone otherwise. But yeah, I think definitely the decision to do stop motion did kind of give the movie a feel that it wouldn't otherwise have had. That's my take on it. And I should talk about the other movie that I'm here to talk about. Then we'll probably bring this stream to a close. But I also wanted to talk about Colossal, which I just recently watched on Hulu. It's streaming on Hulu. And I thought this was a very good movie. I haven't heard too many people talking about it. Oh, Volstix. Okay, I respect your opinion about Anomalisa. I respect yours as well, just so you know. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was lovely, bittersweet, heart-wrenching, but I'm still unsure if it took full advantage of the medium. All right, fair enough. Yeah, we can respect each other's opinions here, even if we disagree. But yeah, Colossal. This is the latest film from Mexican filmmaker Nacho Vigalondo, I believe is his name. And it looks like Cinnamon Sands signing off now. Getting late here. Time to find my bed. Thank you all for the interesting talk and company. I'll watch the rest of the stream later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Cinnamon Sand. Thank you for joining us. Glad you enjoyed yourself. But yeah, Colossal. This is the latest film from Nacho Vigalondo. This is only the second film of his that I've ever seen. I saw his first one, which was an excellent low-budget time travel thriller called Time Crimes. I don't know if anyone else has seen this movie, but it is really an excellent, excellent movie. So well written and so surprising and so clever. Oh, Alejandro Moncrief. Actually, Vigalondo is Spanish, not Mexican. I apologize. I thought I'd read that he was Mexican. I'm sorry I got that wrong. Okay, so he's Spanish. Want to correct that right now. Apologies. But yeah, I had seen Time Crimes, and I really like that one. And Alejandro Moncrief agrees with me. Los Cronocrímenes is great sci-fi indeed. I hope I'm saying that right. And Volstix. Time Crimes is fucking amazing. It was good. Yeah, if anyone who's a fan of Primer would probably really enjoy Time Crimes. It's really clever. Primer is kind of more of a more impenetrable and kind of a more intellectual take on the time travel idea, and doing it in a really gritty, low budget way. Time Crimes is more of a straightforward kind of thriller, more of just kind of a suspense movie. But the whole way it's executed, the whole way it circles back on itself structurally, is really well done. I thought that was a great script, a really great story, and Time Crimes is definitely one worth checking out. But Colossal, the one I'm supposed to be talking about, Owen Ballstick's one of the best 5 time travel films ever. Talking about time crimes, it's good. It's really good. And Colossal. Oh, what does Zach Hayes say? I really liked Colossal. I really felt for the main character. I was actually kind of scared by one of the other characters that normally does straight comedies. You're talking about Jason Sudeikis, right? Yeah, that is, yeah. I'll get to that in just a second. Oh, and Jack says, I've wanted to watch Time Crimes for literally years. You should do it. You'd probably really, really like it. Oh, and the music for Soul, Triangle was a cheap Time Crimes ripoff. I think I know the movie you're talking about. Was Triangle the one with that Australian actress, Melissa George, I think is her name? I think that's the one you're thinking of. I'm not sure, though. Or the one you're mentioning. Is that for me, Alejandro Moncrief? You're quite right about Triangle. Am I right, or is Music for Soul right? I'm sorry I'm getting confused here. Jack also wants to know, what are the other 4 time travel movies? 5 best time travel films ever. I'd like to know too. But yeah, Colossal. This is Volsticks. Yep, Melissa George on the ship. Okay, I know that one. But yeah, Colossal, if I could finally get to this. This is, okay, the basic premise behind it is that Anne Hathaway plays sort of, I think I'm just going to fall back on the Hulu synopsis here, but basically she's kind of a party girl who, her life is kind of in shambles. She has been out of work in New York. She breaks up with her boyfriend, who is sick, of her alcoholism and her irresponsibility. She kind of ends up returning back to her small hometown in defeat, and living in just an empty house that is owned by her parents, just trying to figure out her life and where she's going to go from here, trying to get herself back together. And, she's reconnecting with all of her old school friends and refamiliarizing herself with her old stomping ground. And basically, it just so happens that in the middle of all of this, a giant monster begins attacking Seoul, South Korea, and destroying buildings, running amok. It appears out of nowhere, and then a few minutes later, it vanishes. And she comes to find out over the course of the story fairly quickly that somehow she is actually controlling this monster. And basically, the movie is this totally bizarre balance between just this character comedy of a woman basically learning to take responsibility for her life, and this giant monster battling kaiju film. It's really not like anything I've ever seen before. I've never seen these 2 kinds of movies mashed up together like this. And it's sort of a special effects spectacle. It's sort of a thriller. It's sort of a drama. And it's also sort of a comedy. Really just a totally bold and unconventional balance of genres and tones and different kinds of stories, and so well executed. I gotta say, I was not sure what I was going to think about this movie. A lot of people, weren't too impressed by it. They thought the thing just kind of, the disparities in tone were so extreme that a lot of people seemed to think it just kind of fell apart. So I wasn't too sure what I was going to think about this. I wasn't too sure how I was going to react, but I gotta say, I thought it was really well done. I thought it came together extremely well. I thought every single piece of it was done was done really, really well. I thought the characters were really, really well written, really well performed. The intimate drama, of just, kind of this woman examining her life and discovering maturity and taking responsibility and kind of putting herself back together. I thought that was really well done. I thought the monster scenes were really well done. The directions that it takes, the twists that happen were really clever. And who was it that mentioned Jason Sudeikis? I know that was recent, it was just a second ago. Yeah, Zach Hayes mentioned Jason Sudeikis. Who was one of like her old school buddies. There are some major surprises involving that character, which I won't spoil. But the direction that ends up taking was very unexpected for me. I'm glad I kind of went into this not really knowing much about it, because there are several big twists and turns that complicate matters, that ratchet up the tension, that raise the stakes. And I thought they were all so creative. I never saw any of these twists coming. I didn't know how this thing was going to wrap up. It was so continuously surprising, so continuously inventive and original. I couldn't have been happier with the thing. And I have to say, taking this as a kaiju film, a giant monster movie, I think this might be the best and most original kaiju film I've ever seen. Because it's not a genre I'm typically very excited by. I understand why people like these kinds of movies. And obviously there's a great deal of nostalgia that some people have for them. And I certainly, when I was younger, I loved Godzilla and I love those films. But it's never been something that, at least in my adulthood, when I've gone back to certain movies or tried to watch, like kaiju stuff, the Godzilla movies, things like that, I've never been too crazy about them. I've always found them kind of dull, to be honest. That's just me. And I guess the reason for that is I never really get invested in what's happening. I never really get invested in the characters. I never really come to care so much for the monsters. I never really get invested, in why they're battling and what they're battling over. It's more just kind of like a dry exercise for me. And obviously there are some people that just love getting to see monsters battle on, a model set of a city and destroy things and explosions. Some people really get a kick out of that, really enjoy it. Hey, good for you. Nothing wrong with enjoying something. But it's never been something that's particularly appealed to me, unfortunately. Colossal, however, I think finds an extremely clever way of approaching that kind of material, of grounding it very much just in normal people and their everyday lives, and just this finding a really funny way of giving, just the insignificant problems of just average everyday people, of giving these fairly boring mundane problems a global significance, so that these petty squabbles that they actually have repercussions that are in the area of like hundreds of people dying, a whole city being destroyed because of some bickering that happens between two old friends. They get pissed off at each other, they get mad at each other, and hundreds of people die as a result. That was such a clever way of grounding, these effects and these monster set pieces in really relatable, kind of insignificant human problems. I thought that was so clever, and I found that so entertaining and so funny. And actually, by the end, I genuinely got invested. The Anne Hathaway character, of how she slowly becomes more heroic as the film progresses. She's just a mess at the beginning. You think like, oh my God, this poor girl. And by the end, she actually does kind of evolve into a hero, into a savior. And I actually found that really inspiring. I got really invested at the end in wondering how this was going to resolve. You know, of hoping that she would find a way to triumph somehow, of overcoming, you know, the challenges that she's facing, both small and large. I just loved this movie. It's such an original idea, and it takes such a risk in balancing so many different tones and genres, and really pulls it off. I thought this was an excellent movie, and definitely tremendously satisfying to see after the potential that Vigalondo showed with his debut Time Crimes. This shows him as a continuously inventive, daring, and incredibly talented filmmaker. So I highly, highly recommend checking out Colossal. It is such a surprisingly well done movie. And really, like, no other giant monster film out there. And I think the most emotionally investing one, because, yeah, again, like I said, it's all about people and just elevating these petty little problems that people have to the level of a global catastrophe. I loved it. I really did love it. And I think definitely, yeah, if you're into just unconventional stuff like this, movies that are just really far out there, but that take themselves seriously, that aren't just about irony and you know, like, oh, isn't this a ridiculous idea, that actually really try to sell it as drama, and actually really try to get you invested emotionally, and really try to say something about people and the decisions we make in our lives. And that is also just a tremendously entertaining film to boot on top of that. Will probably really love this. I know I loved it. It's streaming on Hulu. Anybody out there who has a Hulu subscription should definitely put this on your queue, give it a watch, find it any other way you can, because it's terrific. And I think really underrated and underseen. So do check it out. Now I'm going to look at the chat, see what we got going on here, and then, yeah, bring the stream to a close. I've about said everything I need to say. Sleepy Fedora, suggestions for Cult Sandwich: Blue Ruin, The Guest, anything by Ben Wheatley, RoboCop, Reservoir Dogs. I think I have a list. Yeah, alternative list. I'll write these down for Cult Sandwich. I might try to bring that back fairly soon. So just for future reference, I'll write those down. Blue Ruin, good one. Did like that one. Blue Ruin, The Guest, which Zach Hayes has recommended to me. We'll hopefully find a way to watch that one soon. Ben Wheatley, another good suggestion. Hopefully do a kill list on Mega Movie Monday for October. RoboCop, excellent. And Reservoir Dogs should be an interesting one. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm kind of back and forth on Quentin Tarantino. He's an interesting one. Okay, I got them written down. Let's see what it is. Okay, whoops. Okay. Oh yeah, Zach Hayes. Okay. Colossal humanizes the monsters. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's what I thought was so clever about it, is that it's not just about monsters battling each other. Like, it's about it's about human problems being resolved, you know, and just kind of taking all these, what in perspective are fairly insignificant problems, and yeah, giving them these massive consequences. I'd never really seen anything like that before. So I was really into that. I was really having a good time with that. Let's see. Knock one, what? Do you watch Super Jail? I've seen a couple episodes. I started that one on Hulu. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I did watch a couple episodes. It's trippy. It's trippy and really wildly original. It's a fascinating one. Not quite sure what I think. It's pretty excessive. It's pretty violent. It's pretty tasteless, but it is undeniably fascinating, and there is something rather brilliant and visionary about it. It's something that has to be seen to be believed. There is a lot of weird, interesting stuff on Adult Swim, as I'm discovering. Well, I just watched one with what's the name of that comedian? John Glazer. I just watched his show, Delocated, which I actually thought was pretty funny. And yeah, I started getting into Super Jail, so I should finish that one. I need to finish that. I need to finish Fargo. There's a couple shows I need to finish up on. Zach Hayes. Oh, Colossal is in Redbox as well. Okay, so that's a way to see it if there's one by you. Yeah, I saw it on Hulu, but yes, it is also available through Redbox, so that'd be a good way to see it. Fairly convenient way of watching it. And Volsticks, I should watch Colossal. One of my best friend's boyfriend, who has excellent taste in almost everything, really recommended it. Hey, so there's some fans out there for it. Glad to hear that. Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's pretty underrated. More people should definitely see it. And Time Crimes as well. Another underrated, underseen one. Let's see. Oh, some more talk about Super Jail. Zach Hayes. I forgot about Super Jail. I haven't seen that in a while. I don't think I've finished it. Yeah, it's kind of like you get sort of, I think it's like sensory overload. You can only watch so many episodes of that show in a row. You do just kind of get overwhelmed, yeah, by the sheer surrealism, the tastelessness of it, the violence of it, the trippy psychedelic visuals. I think it is just kind of, after like 2 or 3 episodes, you kind of get to the point where your brain just can't take in anymore, and you need to step away for a little while and then come back to it. Oh, Volstick. I think Super Jail is a bit of a ripoff of Johnny Ryan's Prison Pit comic series, but I'm not entirely sure which one came about first. I'm not familiar with this comic series. Prison Pit. Sounds like it could very well be a similar idea, though. But yeah, I do kind of want to go back. It's because it's been a few weeks since I've watched an episode of Super Jail. I do kind of want to go back to it now. I think I'm ready to step back into it. We'll see how many episodes I can get through before I need to take another break. And this might be the last question for the stream. Sleepy Fedora, what do you think of Ben Wheatley's films? I did talk about his work earlier in this stream, and I've talked about his work in other streams, but I am a big fan of his work. I think he's making some tremendously interesting films. I just recently rewatched Sightseers. I thought that was a very effective like satirical comedy about British culture and holidays, and also just a very chilling like horror film, like sort of serial killer film, exploration of amorality and misanthropy, but also balanced with this really clever satire. Kill List I thought was incredibly disturbing, a really interesting genre mashup of like an assassin film, but also a really violent like horror story of mental breakdown. High Rise I thought was very underrated. More of a dark comedy than anything else. And Free Fire I thought was very, very good. I thought Free Fire was one of the best action movies to come out in the last few years. I thought it was very well done, comparable with the works of like John Woo. Maybe not as excessive or operatic or epic, but really intense, visceral, physical. I mean, it has an impact. It really has an impact that just leaps off the screen at you. It's really well done. I think that's about all of his I've seen. Yeah, I haven't seen A Field in England, and I know he's got some other stuff coming out too. But yeah, I think he's tremendously talented. I look forward to seeing what he does next. I'm sure it'll be, again, another surprise, another step in a different direction. He's sort of what do you call it? Jack of all trades? That's not quite right. A journeyman, sort of a journeyman filmmaker. And he's proven himself quite competent, in just about every genre. So who knows what his next film is going to be. Jack, have you seen the film The Tribe? I have not, but I've heard a lot about it. I've heard that one's pretty intense. It's all done in sign language, if I'm not mistaken, because I think all the characters are deaf. But it is on Netflix, so I'm definitely going to have to give that a watch. The Tribe. Yeah, I've heard it's excellent, so I'll have to make sure I watch that one. Volsticks. Okay, I guess you looked it up. Prison Pit was 2009, Super Jail 2007. Maybe it was the other way around then. Okay. Yeah, Jack, okay. It is completely in sign language without any subtitles or translation. Interesting. Sounds like it'd be pretty difficult to pull off. But yeah, judging from the reviews I've heard, the extremely positive reviews, it's really something to behold. So I'm gonna have to give that one a look. And the last few, Volsticks. I'm very hyped for Armando Iannucci's The Death of Stalin. Looks so funny with an utterly amazing cast. And I don't know what this is. The Death of Stalin. I'll write it down. Death of Stalin. Okay. And Volsticks, A Field in England is one of my favorites of all time. Still haven't seen it, damn it. I need to. Try and find a way to watch it. It's one of these days. And Zach Hayes, yeah, I've been wanting to see that sign language film. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, it's called The Tribe. And I don't know if you have Netflix, Zach Hayes, but it is streaming on Netflix, so that is a way to see it if you have the option. But it looks like we're about at the end here. So I think I'll bring this stream to a close. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining me. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. And hopefully next week we can get the interview situation all worked out. I think I did see after I started the stream that Case, who I was supposed to be talking with today, did send me a message. So I'd have to get this all worked out, maybe reschedule. Too bad that didn't work out this week, but that's okay. We'll try and get it all going next week. Jack, I think my most anticipated for this year might be The Endless. Oh, which I wrote down, didn't I? The Endless? Did I? I thought I wrote, yeah, The Endless. Right. You mentioned that one earlier, didn't you? Yeah, I'll be sure to look that one up. And Zach Hayes, you have your sister's Netflix. Good. Yeah, you can watch The Tribe on Netflix then. I'm going to have to do that as well. And Alejandro Moncrief, A Field in England, still my favorite film of Wheatley's and one of my favorites of this century. Damn. So that one, yeah, I'm going to have to try and see if I can find that one. I've been curious. It sounds interesting. I've heard it described as Barry Lyndon crossed with like LSD. Like it's a psychedelic Barry Lyndon, something like that. Sounds pretty cool. But yes, I think that's it for this episode of Video Drone. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. And Volsticks wants me to watch Resolution before The Endless. I will make sure I do that. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I think everyone here already has subscribed, but I'll just throw that in there just for the hell of it. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr. I'm trying to post more stuff on the social media pages now, so that there's actually a reason to follow me there, posting like reviews and stuff like that. And I'll see you next Saturday while I'll be talking about, I don't know, who knows, we'll find out when it happens. And hopefully stay tuned for more content that I'll be posting on the channel. And just in the meantime, have a good week, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, try and watch some good movies. So bye-bye, thanks again.